man. You doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
What it is, guys? It's your boy Blasphemous HD. And today we're here to check out a video you guys have sent me, the DMs of Discord. Oh boy. So apparently we have acquired audio, very damning and awfully accurate receipts of what Meek Mill meant on that Dream Chasers album when he apologized for what he did with Diddy. Roll the clip of Meek Mill apologizing.
I hope they forgive me for what I did with Diddy. Real street niggas forever. Bitch, I'm the king of Philly.
Diddy had that man in the room. Look, yes, I put my ear to the door and I brought the phone because Diddy started going in overdrive. I ain't know what the was going on, but I just heard balls slapping against cheeks. I heard struggling to take.
Ooh, child. So it looked like the allegations about Meek being Diddy's boy toy were true after all, because an audio just leaked of Meek screaming for his life when Diddy mercilessly clapped his cheeks.
What?
The internet, they ain't never gonna forget and always come through with receipts, honey. Now, if y'all remember, Meek was exposed for being Diddy's little twink a couple weeks ago, but Meek denied these allegations and even started threatening the people who were speaking on it. Well, it looks like he was running his mouth a little too much because people started digging for evidence, and girl, they found some things that not even Meek can deny. Apart from the disturbing audio of him getting pounded by Diddy, there's also an old song where Meek blatantly admitted to getting freaky with Diddy for a check. Oh, y'all better sit back for this one because we've got a lot to get into here. Okay, so as most of y'all already know by now, Diddy is currently on the run, and he's reportedly hiding in the Caribbean islands after the feds flooded his home and raided it for evidence that they could finally throw him in jail with. Now, both of his sons, Justin and Christian, who were also tied to his dirty dealings, were cuffed up and thrown into police vehicles. Now, while all this was going down, the attention quickly shifted from the raid to Meek Mill after Diddy's ex-bodyguard leaked an audio tape of
his
Meek being pounded by Diddy during one of their freakoff sessions. The reason why this got a lot of people's attention is because Meek had already been exposed as Diddy's boy toy a couple weeks ago, but he adamantly denied and tried to make it look like people were just trying to emasculate him. Whole time, he really was bending over for Diddy. Like, you cannot make this up. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, a music producer by the name Lil Rod filed an explosive multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Diddy a couple.
Never name yourself Little Rod, man. It just does not come across well on pen and pad. On any resume, it's me, Lil Rod, out here. Shut up! It's not the size of the boat, it's the motion. Just listen to the goddamn song.
Couple weeks ago for SA. Not only did he incriminate Diddy, but he also name-dropped other people in this lawsuit, including Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian Combs, Young Miami, Usher, and Meek Mill. Apparently, Justin and Miami were in cahoots with Diddy SAing a bunch of girls, and Miami was the one in charge of illegally servicing these girls to Diddy. Rodney also went to expose Diddy for sleeping with some of the men in the industry, and in exchange, he would give them all the opportunities they want in Hollywood. And as you can already guess at this point, Meek was at the top of that list of men letting Diddy slide in for a couple opportunities. Rodney even said Diddy confessed to him that he coerced Stevie J into a freak-off session with the promise of getting Stevie a Grammy for Producer of the Year. Now, this is where things get even messier, because somewhere in the lawsuit, he also exposed Meek Mill and Usher as one of the people that often came to these freak-offs. Rodney didn't explicitly mention Meek Mill and Usher names in the lawsuit like he did with everybody else, but he gave some descriptions that had very specific details that pretty much made everybody know who he was talking about. Like, he described Meek as a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj, and described Usher as a male R&B singer who performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Vegas residency. Now, I don't think I need to tell y'all all this, but Meek is definitely a rapper from Philadelphia who dated Nicki from 2015 to 2017. Usher also also just had a very successful Vegas residency, which reportedly grossed over $100 million. And he did in fact perform at the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. Anyway, going back to Rodney's lawsuit, he claimed that he witnessed Usher and Diddy hooking up several times and making out with the girls that Young Miami and Justin would bring for him. Rodney recalled the time where they were partying on Diddy's yacht and he saw both Meek and Usher messing with several girls. The lawsuit said, rapper Meek on Combs' yacht consorting with underage girls and S-workers. And do y'all remember what I said about Diddy confessing to Rodney that he coerced Stevie J to sleep with him? Well, it turns out it wasn't just Stevie, because according to Rodney, Diddy explicitly told him that he also had hooked up with Usher and Meek several times. The lawsuit stated, Mr. Combs informed Mr. Jones that he had engaged in intercourse with rapper Redacted and R&B singer Redacted and Stevie J. Child, people were beyond disgusted by the things that Diddy has been doing with Usher and Meek, and they immediately jumped on social media to drag them. Meek started spiraling all over social media and tweeted a bunch of things in a desperate attempt to defend himself, but folks weren't having it. He said, I would trash any celebrity if they tried a wild move on me. No pics. Literally go crazy on them. That is all. I'm from Philly, man. All my guys always watch me around this wild industry. Every black blog site enhanced that post to make me seem gay. I change laws for our people. I donate millions. They are designed to destroy the image of black leaders. It can't work with me though. You gotta really kill me, and I still will get bigger after death. This guy, not me, LOL. He also got into a huge Twitter feud with DJ Akademiks, who was only reporting on the news. Like, imagine attacking somebody who's just doing his job. It's crazy. What's even crazier is that it took hours of Meek running his mouth on Twitter before he finally addressed these allegations. He said, I'm from Philly. I don't do coke or freaky ASS Molly. Nobody won't even offer me coke because I'm that heavy. No man or what would ever approach me about gay activity, and the whole place don't get flipped. Woke up seeing this on every blog, like they know I'm coming, LOL. After this, people back.
Oh, they know he coming. Oh, boy.
Off for a while because it was clear as day that Meek was beginning to have a mental breakdown and they ain't want him to spiral anymore. That was until Diddy's ex-bodyguard leaked an audio of Meek getting pounded by Diddy. Child, I was shocked to the core when I first heard the audio. Aside from the fact that the voices of the audio sound exactly like Meek and Diddy, it was very disturbing to listen because Meek was screaming at the top of his lungs and it really sounded like he was in serious pain, but Diddy just kept going.
Can't stop. Won't stop. Oh, God.
Now, y'all know I can't play the full audio for y'all because it really is that disturbing, but I'ma just let y'all hear a little bit. And again, just know it's very disturbing and very sensitive.
Yeah!
Now, the ex-bodyguard in question who recorded and leaked the audio made an entire video narrating how it came out. He said it happened during one of Diddy's freakoffs, and he decided to lean by the door to record what he was hearing because he was shocked to see Meek allowing Diddy to pound him like this. He said Diddy intentionally spiked everybody's drinks at that party so they would be too drunk and too high to even know what's going on. But he didn't drink, and that's why he was sober enough to witness what he and Meek were doing. Ooh, child.
Champagne was spiked, son. Like, all the champagne was spiked. Everybody was passed the fuck out. I don't drink, so I was playing that shit off like I don't fucking drink. I smoke. Like, I smoke and I had my own weed, but like everybody was passed out. Yo, Diddy had that man in the room. Look, yes, I put my ear to the door and I brought the phone because Diddy started going in overdrive. I ain't know what the fuck was going on, but I just heard balls slapping against his cheeks. I heard struggling to take. I heard it's being like, yeah, daddy. Like when he started all that daddy this and daddy that, and then I heard some hollering and struggling. Like, yeah, I kept the phone there and I recorded all this shit because I was like, this Diddy.
Everybody kind of knew back in the day that Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly. Anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike, on more than one occasion?
I mean, do y'all remember that video of Meek in the pool with his slightly curved as if he was trying to ease off some pain while Diddy recorded him and called that man daddy? Diddy kept talking about how Meek was putting in that work. I don't know about y'all, but that video looks like it was taken just minutes after he disrespected Meek in that bedroom.
Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Somebody reacted by saying, looks like a private pool party. Meek cooling that hoe. Another person said, Meek Mill cooling those cheeks after putting in that work.
No!
And to make matters even worse, Meek was caught following a corn page on Twitter that exclusively posts videos of black men pounding each other. Maybe he was trying to learn some new positions for Diddy. Who knows? But as soon as people caught him, he immediately unfollowed the page. As if all this information wasn't incriminating enough, an old song that Meek recorded a while ago leaked online, and he seemingly revealed to getting his cheek slapped by Diddy in order to make it in Hollywood. The song is about him chasing his dreams and trying to make it in Hollywood, and then he goes back to ask for forgiveness for what he did with Diddy. Y'all, just listen to this.
I hope they forgive me for what I did with Diddy. Dream chasers. I hope they forgive me for what I did with Diddy. Real street nigga forever. I'm the king of Philly.
Baby, this is really sad, and it's clear as day that Diddy has
I hope that they forgive him for what he did with Diddy. Real dream chaser, bro. He giving up the booty. That's only what he trying to say. He with the games, he at the parties, bro. He came to play. He giving them cheeks with no delays. Oh no. Yo, we gonna edit that out, man. Oh shit, man. Oh man, give me that freestyle. I go wild on it.
exploited the hell out of Meek for a very long time, and Meek couldn't do anything to stop it because he thought if he made his body accessible to Diddy, then Diddy would elevate his career. That obviously didn't happen long, because Meek's career is in shambles. He got dropped from his label, his last album flopped miserably, and now he's an industry outcast because no rapper wants to associate with him after finding out what he's been doing with Diddy. Now, as usual, people had a whole lot to say about this. Like this person who said, "I can't believe so many of our black men are putting their minds and bodies through unnatural things." I should have never heard that. Another person said, "I feel violated after listening to that audio. Terrifying." But now I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about Meek getting his cheeks clapped by Diddy in order for opportunities in Hollywood? And do y'all think Meek is just another victim of Diddy's depraved ways, or did he actually enjoy it? Y'all been knew what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other
Yeah, my mom's gorgeous. Let me introduce you to my mom, called Mom Dukes.
Hi.
She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrating. What's up, Mom?
Everything's good, baby. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
What?
Mom, freshly dipped though. I was just trying to show you shoes.
Oh, bro, I'm good, man. Man, if you don't get your... What, you boning your mom?
Yeah,
too?
my mom's is single.
You lubing your mom up as well?
Mom's single. I ain't gonna hate on my mom's. She's single. Me and my mom talked about one time doing a dating show with her. And she's so picky. She's so picky, they don't stand. But yeah, that'd be the funniest show in the world.
It will be, especially with me.
I don't even want to get started if she was doing that. We're not doing that, cause yeah, my mom's single. Yeah, for real. Mom Duke know how to have a good time. She ain't sitting in the house playing. I'm outside moving and shaking, baby. She come with me to the strip club. I don't care. For real. It's my dog. You know, I want to live life. We out here moving and grooving. So my mom told me, she just said, keep moving, baby.
That's right.
Keep moving.
Don't stop.
She could touch the floor with her palms. What? You know? Flat. Oh! Take pew, pew, pew.
He's holding his mother?
It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. Period. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong
Cat Williams, the only man alive who can make a joke out of anyone who has a bigger penis than him.
way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Because you sound like a female?
The truth is the light.
King son, man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Literally
okay,
disgusting.
ladies and gentlemen, for all those in London that don't know what happens to the white man when he comes to a P.Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive.
Why?
Look at that. Look at
Why?
Look, would you
Yo, I'd have poured my drink on,
and
homie.
that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco.
I'd have poured my drink on, homie, bro. Move your face,
DJs
bro.
are supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them. I put him to sleep.
Don't get off me, bro.
You put the drink on his head.
I'd have poured the drink on his face, bro.
Damn.
Get your face
Mention
away
other
from me,
people's
man.
platforms, but he got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything. You know what I'm saying? About the business. Right? I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now, I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that groomed you, you gonna give him a pass? Bruh, you know I know. Let me reframe you on something. Remember, Usher? We was at the Swiss Hotel. Puff had Kim in the room. Had one of Keith Sweat's baby mothers in the big room outside the master bedroom.
Damn, Keith Sweat.
He came outside in his robe. She gave him a fellatio right there. His back was turned to me. She gave him a fellatio. You knocked on the door. I came and opened the door for you. Puff went in the room. You came in the room and kissed that girl dead in her mouth. Now I'm telling that because you taking up for somebody that you know and a lot of more people know didn't do you right when you was at Diddy camp.
Yo, everybody, my baby bro, we here. Tomorrow is time. It's time. What you gonna do to that thing, man? Yeah, they better tune in. They better tune in. Let's go. Bye. No, I don't think so.
You can try to look crazy. I'm gonna run so fast in my wife. I don't have my luggage. Fuck your luggage. Go get your new luggage.
Where you going? Run all the way back to LA.
Son, you've been chasing us. This is the longest hallway of all time. It's Kubrickian.
You can drive out. Try quite quickly. Drive faster.
That's my song. Not an instrumental though. Need bad bitches at they night, they instrumental hoes. I'ma get them hella those. Give me money. Oh, I wonder how old she was then. I think Aaliyah was like 16.
Miami a night of party, and I don't really remember what I was saying. You know what I'm saying?
Would you like a reminder?
Yeah, sure.
Play some.
Hey, yo, listen, yo, I love it all. I love it all, man.
I like when you like this, bring them back to mind.
I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit.
That was you.
Scrambling.
What? You said, I like when you do it like that, Daddy. When you scrambling and scraping for shit.
Hey, man.
They sacrificed Diddy here. They said, "Nigga, you gotta take this shit, cause we can't be involved." But Diddy smart. He filmed every fuck session. So he was fucking Clive and the motherfucking freak boy that run Universal Music Group. So he got them on some fuck tapes. Now that's why they raiding the house, because they got friends in Homeland Security and the feds. And they said, get in there and get them tapes from this nigga. He trying to blackmail us. That's what I believe is going on.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Look at Justin.
You know, I have been
deer in headlights, mind you. Diddy is 40 years old in this, and Justin is 15.
Given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know, he did his first album. I did Usher's first album.
We're going to get into that in a quick second.
I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full.
Did you just see Justin Bieber cry?
Buck full crazy.
No. Going crazy.
Going buck full crazy is wild in this new context. To me, this looks like a smile of grooming. And if I was to make a prediction, I think Justin Bieber in the next several weeks to month is going to come out with his own Diddy story, unfortunately. And it kind of puts his career into context, why being exposed to people like this had him abruptly end his career to focus on his mental health.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, this will be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, go get the front shot of this.
Man.
Minute.
I wouldn't even do this for a female.
Alright, so I'm gonna be driving this.
Yeah, when you get 16,
I don't do none of that. I used to.
Come down, you gotta.
I learned though.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got a permit. Not yet.
You could just see the youth within Justin. He doesn't yet understand that gifts don't come free. They're really, truly not gifts when you're caught up in this type of a lifestyle. This is a loan to be paid back with interest.
It's a booty loan.
Alright, 16.
Not ready.
Slow down. To be paid with anus.
Let's slow down, okay?
You don't have to pay no anus.
Yeah, the keys is
You ain't
yours.
pay no anus charges.
You know, when you get 16. You good to go.
I make no anus payment?
And then, when you get 18, you get the house.
Don't never make no anus payment.
Oh, God.
Unless, I mean...
So where are we off to now?
Where would you like to go?
I mean, wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
50 Cent tried to tell y'all not to accept gifts from Diddy.
The Puff was like, yeah, like first he was amping him to get style. Then he was like, yo, when we gonna get the chance to, you know, to kick it, like we could just hang out, nigga. We gotta kick it. This is Puff. Okay. He telling me we gotta kick it and shit. And he was like, yo, why don't we like go shopping or some shit? I mean, like I pay for it. And I was like, what the fuck this nigga just said? I got the fuck away from him because I was like, this nigga fucking this nigga just tell me he take me shopping. This is shit that goes on. But it's just a little fruit pop. It's a fruit pop. It's a fruit pop, trust me. You see these little weird ass pictures and shit like that out there, sitting out there for no reason. You don't see accident pictures of me like kissing niggas. Like that doesn't happen by accident. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Look, later you gonna find out a little shit that I be saying be real.
For context, the men on the other side of the table are signed to Revolt Network, which produces this podcast, which is owned in part by Diddy.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Man, listen, I'm trying to tell you the truth. But the truth, sometimes it hurts.
Right.
It hurts people and they don't want to hear that shit. But I'm trying to tell you, nigga asked me, could he take me shopping? And it fucked me up because I'm looking like, what the fuck? This nigga just said, I want to take you shopping. I got a bankroll out this motherfucker. I want to take you shopping. Why? Because when you walk around looking so motherfucking good, I'm going to feel like, God damn it, that motherfucker with me.
You talking about a chick.
That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. But when a nigga tell me he want to take me shopping, what the fuck is the matter with this nigga?
Hey, hold on. Well, where was this at?
This was at the wedding. Right after the wedding.
I'm beefing with Steve Stout, and Puff is telling you you're going to take you shopping.
After the show's over. Swear to God.
Everybody going to want to be at Chris Lady's wedding right now. Everybody going to be like, yo, I was there.
And I'm bugging because look, while they was sitting there at the wedding, like I'm like this, look, because you know they both they hit.
Right.
Both Stout and Puff.
Okay, yes, they hit.
They fucked the Veronica, the girl that Chris was married.
Whoa, this is awkward. We did not know that.
So I'm sitting there like, what the kind of shit we got going on?
Oh,
like, goddamn. Like, you must have my own little...
I guess our angel on her shit.
Shit goes so deep. It's funny to laugh at this, but 50 Cent was a grown-ass man that can make grown-ass man decisions. Watching that in the context of Justin is wild. But remember, Diddy talked about having legal guardianship over Usher?
Moved to New York City. And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn some...
Flavor Camp?
Yeah, that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans. Jodeci, Mary J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And what do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. You know, I had like,
what
like a living.
Life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Hell no.
The red flags really didn't go up for me in this Diddy case until I saw how quickly that he settled over the case with Cassie after she went public. I would imagine that a man of his wealth, if you were innocent, then you would fight allegations like that until your end, until your demise. And slowly as
all he had to do was just not beat women. And then when the chicks start acting all spicy and, like they're going to go somewhere, just dump them. Just break up with the chick and then, like, wait for her to come back. You know what I mean? But brother love, and we all saw that where that got him.
Stories began to come out, the videos began to resurface in the context of Jeffrey Epstein, in the context of like these Hollywood executives within Nickelodeon that have pedophilia allegations established with them. The court documents of the man who's suing Diddy, alleging that Diddy is a gangster that has killed people in front of him. There's just so many things coming from so many different angles, which doesn't look good for him. I'm still in a mindset of innocent until proven guilty, but I think that it's over for your boy Diddy.
First and foremost, I just want to say, I know a lot of people want to hear these stories and everything like that because this is stuff that happened back in the day. And then maybe that if they knew there was going to ever be a YouTube or they knew there was going to ever be social media, a lot of the stuff probably wouldn't have got played out like it did.
True.
But things happen and these are just stories from the past. I would like to use that as, Just to clear the facts up what's going on. But it all started, we was in Atlanta. And this story starts when I'm with Puff and he's in exotic bookstores and he's doing shopping, right? He's shopping, getting his stuff and everything like that. So, you know, this is the first time I was ever in an exotic bookstore with Puff. So, you know, I'm giving him his space. He's taking things off the shelves and stuff like that, because they gave him a brown paper bag. When they gave him a brown paper bag, he was just putting stuff in there. So I said, damn, you know, he got to go put it on the counter and, you know, show everybody what he's getting. So as he going, I'm just looking at the places where he picking stuff from. So there's one part he picked up some things from up here on my left side. And then he picked like quite a few of them down. I'm like, okay. He put them in the bag. So when I went by there and I looked up there and it said butt plugs. And I was like, hey, yo. I was messing with him. Because people don't understand, you know, we was like friends. He was a part of the same gang. So I'm still going to tease him. I'm still going to mess with him and everything like that. I could do that. It wasn't just no.
Yeah, I bet you $5 he didn't like you teasing him about his whatever stuff he's into.
Security thing. So I say, yo, what are you getting this for? And it said butt plugs, and he was like, yo, can I do my shopping by myself?
Exactly. He told you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you could do it by yourself, brother. And he started walking and everything like that. So when he got to, I just waited at the counter. So when he got to the counter, he didn't even have to show the guy nothing. He just gave the guy a wad of money. I mean, like, he gave the guy a stack something like this. And Puff wasn't the dude that carried no 20s and no 50s and nothing like that. And I mean, like, he just said, boom. And we walked out the store. So we had to leave Atlanta and go to North Carolina for a show. You understand?
TSA.
And
TSA.
It was him, this rapper, Sarah, and this other girl. We all got on a G5 jet, and we flew to G4 jet, and we flew to North Carolina. So later on that, I think that afternoon, same day, this rapper and him, they all in the room together. You know, it's Sarah, the girl, Puff, and this dude, this rapper. So I'm hearing at the door and stuff like that, like, yeah. So then next thing you know, somebody rang the doorbell. We had the presidential suite where we was at. So I opened the door and the dude said, yo, I'm here for my cousin. I said, who your cousin? And he said, Ja Rule. I said, well, he busy right now. He said, he busy doing what? I said, he with Puff, they're in the room, they busy, they don't want to be bothered. He said, well, I'm going in there. I said, bruh, you ain't going in there because he told me they don't want nobody to be bothering them. And he was like, yo, I don't care, man, I'm going in there. That bull like that. I said, yo, bruh, Jesus Christ had to come down here and take the air out of my body before you get in that room right there. Watch. He tried to bum rush me. I grabbed his and threw him against the piano. When I threw him into the piano, Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they butt the naked.
What?
And so then Ja was like, yo, what's going on? Yo, G, that's my cousin. He know me well.
Ja
you know,
Rule,
and Puff was like, yo, G, what happened? I said, he tried to get in the room. I told him he couldn't get in the room. And he was like, Puff looked at Ja. He said, yo, Ja said, you ain't want to go in that room. There's a lot of freaking going on.
Oh, Ja.
So I was like, oh, there's a lot of freaking going on. So that was basically that story, man. You know what I'm saying? They went back in the room. Dude felt a certain kind of way, and he left out. So I seen them at the concert the next day, and they tried to, you know, form up against me. But my man Frank was like, I told my man Frank, I was like, yo, Frank, put yourself in that position. Somebody trying to get in the room, and Ja told you don't let nobody get in the room. What would you do? Now, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do, man, but you know I ain't taking no losses.
Yeah, true
So,
that.
yo, you good, and that was it.
You gotta beat homie up.
Bro, when Josh said, you don't want to come up in there, a lot of freaky stuff is going on. You got to use your mind. What they was doing with those butt plugs.
right. Yeah,
that was crazy. Yeah, it was real wild.
I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
You personally, you think they got tapes?
Well, my personal opinion that if Lil Rod could be trusted and his statements are true, they got him. They got tapes of stuff.
Now, if Diddy had tapes, the feds have them. That's a lot of blackmail.
I think we're about to see something on the level of Epstein, Weinstein to the power of 10.
From members of the royal family to Grammy and Academy Award winners, we're breaking down all the A-list celebrities named in court docs against P.Diddy,
I knew Kuba Gooding
along
Jr.
with
was
some
nasty.
startling accusations.
I mean, first of all, that entire filing was just gasp-worthy. I'm not seeing a scenario where he can escape liability, criminal liability.
He's been known for years as a renowned rapper, producer, and label executive who goes by the names P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, or his legal name, Sean Combs. Whatever name you want to call him, he's no stranger to legal troubles.
Daddy?
Just
Daddy is
this
what he
week,
calls
both
other
Diddy's
guys.
homes in Miami
Daddy's
and
what
Los
he calls
Angeles were
Fabulous
raided
and
by
Meek Mill.
Homeland Security. According to former prosecutor Melba Pearson, they're likely looking for some specific evidence.
The feds are doing raids at 3 different homes of P. Diddy, including his homes in California, in Florida, and in New York. And what I think they're looking for are videos. So basically, P. Diddy had a habit, allegedly, based on told to us through the filings by Cassie Ventura. They have all said that he had a habit of liking to video either him abusing other people or forcing other people to abuse each other for his pleasure, and would record all of that.
Oh.
Now, this comes from the Law and Crime
she
YouTube
bad.
channel.
Who
If you want
the
to see
fuck
this
is
video
that?
without my comments, I'll leave a link to it down in the description
Who the hell
box
is that
down
chick,
below.
bro?
But
Who the hell is that Latino chick?
camera equipment, hard drives, all of that is what they were looking for.
I think those are some of the things that the feds are looking for. I think they're looking for other types of evidence to corroborate the statements that were made by Lil Rod, by Cassie Ventura, and the other people have come forward saying that he
Never
did abuse
name
them.
yourself Lil
So they're
Rod,
looking for
guys.
corroborating evidence. And
They know it means
basically
penis.
the building blocks to put together what will end up being a massive, massive, massive criminal case.
You got a freako
So
case.
far, Diddy hasn't been arrested, but he has already faced his fair share of legal issues. Last year,
case.
Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, who you probably know as singer Cassie, accused him of sex trafficking and sexual slavery. She alleged that Diddy raped her and beat her so severely that she was bruised.
Really?
Cassie also alleged Diddy made her have sex with prostitutes and recorded it on video. She also says he forced her to carry a gun. Cassie sued him under New York's Adult Survivors Act and settled with Diddy outside of court just one day after the suit was filed.
Damn!
Yeah, when that happened, I said to myself, oh, Diddy is guilty of something. I don't know if exactly everything that was in her case, but he's damn sure guilty of something.
Yeah,
and to
I
settle
already
that
know not to
quickly
believe
means to me is
chicks
that
when
they
they
didn't want a
you know what I
trial
mean?
to have a whole bunch of other things come out. Subpoena and all of these different witnesses that are in this Hollywood court that allow a Diddy to continue in his Epstein-like ways for decades. Cassie was such a beautiful, I mean, she's still a beautiful girl, but it's just a shame to see someone like her be dragged into it to this degree. At first, I think I was under the impression of, you found yourself with him, as with other relationships, J-Lo before, what have you, all of these beautiful women, you knew what you were getting. of removing herself.
Joy Dickerson Neal also filed suit against Diddy under the Adult Survivors Act, accusing him of drugging and sexually assaulting her back in 1991 when she was a college student at Syracuse University. Diddy was slammed with yet another lawsuit last month, this time brought on by music producer Rodney Jones, also known as Lil Rod. The 73-page lawsuit lays out dozens of allegations against Diddy, including that he forced Lil Rod to hire prostitutes and have sex with them. The court doc also claims Diddy himself assaulted Lil Rod, but that's not the only bombshell allegations revealed in the detailed documents. Lil Rod doesn't shy away from publicly naming other celebrities he says assaulted him.
I don't know that Kuba Gooding Jr. is going to escape from that one.
Cuba Gooding, yeah, we saw that.
Academy Award-winning actor Kuba Gooding Jr. Lil Rod alleges Diddy was, quote, grooming him to pass him off to his friends. This fear became reality when Mr. Combs introduced Mr. Jones to Kuba Gooding Jr. when they were on Mr. Combs' yacht. Groping and fondling Mr. Jones's legs, his inner thighs near his groin, the small of his back near his buttocks, and his shoulders. He rejected his advances, and Mr. Gooding Jr. did not stop until Mr. Jones forcibly pushed him away.
In the last couple of years, there were allegations against him for sexual assault. So now we had those prior allegations, and now we see him tied to this case as allegedly trying to
kill me, bro.
Assault.
Be ready to fight to the death, bro.
Others.
Back in 2019, Kuba was booked on misdemeanor charges of forcible touching and sexual abuse after he allegedly groped a woman in Times Square. By the next year, 3 women had come forward accusing him of non-consensual sexual touching. He eventually reached a deal with prosecutors that required 6 months of counseling but no jail time.
I'm getting the feeling where there's smoke, there's fire. Right? Because now we have 2 different instances where you're accused of the same type of behavior, years apart. I think there's something there. And
that sucks.
I don't know that Kuba Gooding Jr. is going to escape from that one because he already saw definitely people moving away from him within Hollywood circles and other circles once those first sexual assault allegations came out. So at this point, I don't think he's going to get away with it a second time.
Is it possible that he could face charges based on these allegations that were brought forward by Lil Rod?
It is possible as well. Again, we've got the statute of limitations issue to deal with. So depending on the time frame of when this happened is, again, the Adult Survivors Act, which was the vehicle where many of these lawsuits came out, many of these civil lawsuits came out, there was a finite amount of time for those suits to be filed. The time frame is going to be very, very important. What witnesses come forward, because again, this may not be a situation where DNA may be at play. This may be more of a situation of, hey, yes, I was there and I recall, Kuba Gooding Jr., putting his hands on Lil Rod, or I recall certain aspects. So it's going to be a very witness-intensive type of case. And the question is, will the witnesses be willing to come forward?
Lil Rod's lawsuit also publicly named another celebrity linked to Diddy, Jennifer Lopez.
From the standpoint of the names of the celebrities that were tied to
Jennifer
this,
Lopez out here graping
Jennifer
people?
Lopez was tied to this back when she was involved in or party to a shooting at a nightclub when she was dating Diddy, and is now alleged to have brought the gun with her to the scene and gave it to Diddy, and that's how the shooting occurred.
Lil Rod's team brings up J-Lo when establishing Diddy's history, writing his, quote, RICO enterprise has existed for at least 20 years, dating back to the 1999 nightclub shooting in NYC, when Mr. Combs required his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez to transport his illegal firearm into the NYC nightclub. The court docs allege Diddy forced his then-artist Shine to assume responsibility for the shooting of several individuals.
Damn.
All this happened back on December 27th, 1999, when a fight broke out at a nightclub. Diddy, J-Lo, and rapper Shine were all there, and according to former rapper Mark Curry, Diddy paid Shine $1 million to take the fall for the shooting and serve a 10-year prison sentence. Lil Rod's lawsuit now suggests it was J-Lo who brought the gun. The fact that she's named as somebody who was carrying a weapon, could that be incriminating for Jennifer Lopez?
Probably not.
It can be, but with a huge caveat, right? If I'm not mistaken, that shooting did not result in a death. I know that somebody was harmed, but I don't believe anyone was killed. Because of that, you have the statute of limitations to deal with, which is basically a prolonged amount of a certain amount of time that a prosecutor has to be able to bring charges against someone. And it varies from state to state, but the one thing is consistent is that there is no statute of limitations on murder.
That's a bad picture.
So if P. Diddy had actually killed this person, or the person died as a result of their injuries, now J-Lo could be brought into the mix as a co-defendant because of the fact that the person has passed away. But if the person is alive, and maybe they had serious injuries or whatever the case may be, statute of limitations would run, and it is highly likely at this juncture that statute of limitations have expired, therefore she does not have any criminal liability. But the reputational damage might be a different story, because now she's branding herself as something very different than who she was back then. Back then, she was very much Jenny from the block. She was, dating a variety of hip hop artists. She was very much in that world. Now she's married to Ben Affleck. She's trying to, portray herself in a different manner.
She's still dating Ben
Affleck.
Affleck?
Her past is going to come back to haunt her, and we don't know what that's going to mean for her future in terms of movie deals, music deals, or anything like that. So I think for her, it might be more reputational damage than criminal liability.
Man, don't nobody give a shit.
Pearson says it's possible Jennifer Lopez could file some sort of defamation suit, but it's not likely.
She could, but at the end of the day, when it comes to defamation and those types of cases, truth is an absolute defense. So if he has some sort of receipts to basically prove that, hey, I was right there, I saw her the same way in the filings, you saw a number of different screenshots and pictures that he submitted to support the different points that he was making. If he has some pictures to substantiate that she was carrying the gun, it's going to be very hard for her to say in good conscience in a court of law that, this wasn't true, he's made this up, and now as a result, I've lost, money, I've lost opportunities and things like that. There's going to be too much evidence out there connecting her to this that is going to be very hard for a jury to come back and say, yeah, he's making all of this up.
But it's not just artists that Lil Rod named either. He specifically mentioned Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, in his court documents. It reads in part, quote, Mr. Combs was known for throwing the best parties. Affiliation with and or sponsorship of Mr. Combs' sex trafficking parties garnered legitimacy and access to political figures, artists, musicians, and international dignitaries like British Royal Prince Harry. Why even name Prince Harry? There's no allegations against him or anything, but why bring him up?
I think it may have been a move to bring more credibility to the filing and say that, basically he being Diddy, was using his fame, fortune, and influence to insulate himself. So he was able to legitimize some of the activities he was doing by having these lavish parties, bringing all these A-list celebrities, but somewhere in a back room or somewhere in another wing, horrible things were happening. So the fact that Prince Harry was there does not necessarily mean he was participating in what was happening. And just because you were at a party doesn't mean you know what's happening in every inch of the house. I mean, if you think about it, if the party's being thrown in a mansion, there are various floors and wings. So it is completely possible that he was there and did not participate. Now, if you had said Prince Andrew, especially as a result of the allegations that came out in connection with the Epstein case, that they were close and that they traveled together, and there was a person that alleged that he had sexually assaulted her while she was underage, that would be a different story. But Prince Harry and the way that it was mentioned seemed to be very, again, just sort of trying to bring legitimacy and talk about these were the people that Diddy surrounded himself by to protect himself.
So Prince Harry has no formal accusations against him, but the name association could cause damage to his reputation. Even so, Pearson says it's not likely he files any sort of defamation suit.
It's possible that Prince Harry may be able to preserve his reputation. But again, just in light of everything him and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, have been through, I really hope that, you know, he's able to completely distance himself, maybe make a statement, because again, since he's not necessarily under the umbrella of the royal family directly, so in other words, Buckingham Palace would not be releasing a statement on his behalf. It would be him releasing a statement and saying, yes, I went to X party, but no, I never engaged in any inappropriate behavior or other details that he may see fit to share. So that's going to be, you know, we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But again, since it was such a minuscule mention in the greater context of this filing, he may be okay.
Pearson compares Prince Harry's association with that of President Bill Clinton, who'd been seen with Jeffrey Epstein before his arrest.
And there didn't seem to be much said around him actually engaging in activities, more that he was present at the parties. So I don't recall seeing a lot of fallout on the part of President Clinton from that association.
Speaking of Epstein, Lil Rod's court docs draw a parallel between Diddy's alleged crimes and Jeffrey Epstein's. Epstein died by suicide back in 2019 when he faced numerous charges of sexual assault over the course of multiple years. His longtime companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, was charged and found guilty of sex trafficking in relation to her time with Epstein. She's currently serving out a lengthy prison sentence.
Dang.
Lil Rod compares Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Cahorum, to Ghislaine Maxwell, saying she ordered sex workers and prostitutes for Mr. Combs and ordered and distributed ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms to Mr. Combs and his celebrity guests who were present on his rented yacht and in his homes in LA, NYC, and Miami.
See, there was a hookup.
When you have these high-profile people that have been using people over years, these cases happen without a handler. R. Kelly had a handler, you know, Epstein had a handler, Weinstein had a handler. Everybody has, in those scenarios of those powerful people, powerful men that are abusing other people, they have someone that does their dirty work. And it's usually not only just one person, it's several people who may have different duties. So again, you know, seeing this woman being his handler, being the person to get him drugs, being the person to procure sex workers for him, being the person to basically be on cleanup duty in case of, you know, covering up or silencing people that might want to come forward, you know, that's not unusual. And she is also going to bear the brunt of criminal liability, just like Ghislaine Maxwell did, and basically had to take the entire brunt of the criminal justice system alone because of the fact that, you know, Epstein committed suicide and was not able to be held accountable.
According to Pearson, Diddy and many of his associates will likely face federal charges, but it's not totally clear when. And what do you think a timetable would look like for all of that? I know that there's a lot of evidence to gather over many years, but is it possible that a federal indictment could be just around the corner?
I would hesitate to say just around the corner, because with all of the experience I've had with these office approaches cases, they do not move until they have you fully, like they have you dead to rights, basically. So they are going to take their time. They're going to collect all the evidence. They're going to speak to as many witnesses as they can. They're going to follow every single trail, every single lead that they can before they go to an indictment. There can be continuances. There can be other things that can delay the case. But once you file that charging document, the clock starts ticking. So that, you know, when I was a prosecutor, I always advised my detectives, anybody that I was training, that you get all the evidence you can up front, and then you file charges.
So when is it possible that we would actually see him being arrested or facing any of these indictments? Could it be months down the line?
I feel that it would be months down the line. I would not be surprised if it was before the end of this year. Because again, this is going to be a massive investigation involving at least 3 states, much as we saw in the Epstein case, where he was bringing underage girls to one of his islands in the Caribbean. And there have been some allegations of things happening on planes, things happening on trips. So there may be additional locations that may need to be searched and additional witnesses that may need to be spoken to in order to get a full picture for what charges would be appropriate and what would be the best path forward with this case.
And it's possible Diddy serves a lengthy prison sentence for all this if he were to be convicted in criminal court. If this does happen, that P. Diddy is indicted. I know in R. Kelly, we saw quite a large sentence for him. What could P. Diddy be facing if he is convicted of eventual indictments?
Yeah, well, it all depends on what charges are brought and how many counts of each charge is brought, right? Because for each charge is usually one victim or survivor attached to that charge. So if the U.S. Attorney's Office is able to pull together 15 survivors, right, and they're willing to come forward and testify, you
Surviving
may see 15
Diddy.
counts. So the question will be, if he's convicted, will all those counts run concurrently, meaning at the same time, or would they all be consecutive? And if it's consecutive, he could be looking at life plus, right? If they're run concurrently, again, depending on the universe of what is charged, you know, he's going to be looking at a prison sentence if convicted. There's going to be no way around that.
Is there any possibility that he walks away clean from this, that everything is dropped and he faces no charges or any prison time?
Not impossible. I mean, anything is possible. But I don't see that happening. I see him kind of going the path of R. Kelly, where, again, for so many decades, he was able to act with impunity and just, you know, with harming so many, young women. But eventually he had to pay the piper. And eventually he ended up with a prison sentence. So that in this juncture, from what's been publicly available, from reading Lil Rod's filing, from reading and hearing about the horrible things that Cassie Ventura endured during her nearly a decade relationship with him that started when she was a young woman.
Nigga, please.
I'm not seeing a scenario where he can escape
I don't feel sorry for no people.
Behind the glitz and the glam, there's a darker story lurking. One that's gonna leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Puff Diddley.
Word?
Now, if you're not sure why Diddley should be jailed, well, here's more reasons for you to stop and be pissed off about the fact that he ain't already in there.
What we're left with. Now everywhere you go, it's the same old song. The bitches giving up is the bitches getting on. Bitches coming up, but bitches got it wrong. Those bitches in a rush only last so long. I've been at the same castings with Cassie. We was both modeling out in Miami. Out of 300 girls, she's the only one picked. Sean John shit, now it all makes sense. She was getting all the jobs, they was like he really loves her. Come to find out it was cause Diddy does her. Fuck making bands, she was making that a man. He gave her a contract and ain't signed none of them. And that be that bullshit that makes me pissed. I was cool with Puff. He loved my sis. She was cool on Puff. Made him sick and that was new to Puff. Made him trip. He went to all extensions trying to get attention. Showing off his mansion and his plaque collection. He was used to bitches laying down with quickness. Most chicks be with it, but I'm glad she didn't. And I respect that shit more than this money. I don't accept that shit if you could take it from me. Especially from a hand that holds it over me. Especially from a man that don't belong to me.
Okay, so that very same Cassie mentioned in the music video, yeah, she filed a lawsuit which details a lot of sexual abuse along with some other unmentionable things. In a shocking move, said nobody ever, Diddley settled the suit and paid her off outside of court. Now, while they were together, the glitz and on-camera deceit got some people wishing for their relationship. And according to Jaguar Wright, one of them was Young Miami.
$250,000 a month to do strange shit at will.
What?
You couldn't wait for Cassie to run.
$250,000?
You couldn't wait.
Let me know in the comment section, would you do something strange for a bit of change? Now, a lot of you probably would say no, but what if the change was $250,000 a month? Most dudes will grab their ankles for $250K a month. I mean, I wouldn't. I would need at least $500K, but definitely not for $250. You know, we gonna edit that out.
to be in Cassie's shoes? Carisha? Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my motherfucking name. She mentioned it yesterday.
Her gorilla built ass is mad
Talking
because
about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you?
no one would give, because he gave her money. And she wants the money.
You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z girl. Why don't you claim your friend?
Yeah.
Claudia.
Linebacker built females like this, they gonna stay mad. She's snarling.
You say
because no one would ever give her
Talking about Kathy White.
$250,000 for nothing.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress who died of an imaginary fucking aneurysm. Just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list.
Now, ain't no party like a Diddy party because then the blackmail don't stop. And I ain't just talking about the big, buff black dudes working there neither, man. I'm talking about people getting taken advantage of. Because here's the deal, man. At a diddly party, you're more likely to be sexually abused than you are to have fun. Like, you probably can't even walk and talk without getting something stuck up in your face, if you know what I'm saying. Like, don't trip and fall and reach out to the side to steady yourself. Ain't nobody looking to get a fistful of meat, you know what I'm saying? I wish a lot of that was just made up. But you know the way people be talking about these freak-off parties? I probably ain't too far off from the truth, man.
You joking.
Because here's the deal. There's been more than one witness that's come out to speak out about how messed up these freak-off parties were. Anybody who's been in the game for a while or listens to real music that ain't none of that mumble crap rap is gonna know who Uncle Luke is. The man's got a reputation for having hip-hop premiere parties. But even Diddy was way too much for this 2 Live Crew legend to handle.
Puff Daddy was like, yeah, we want you to come and be in this video. You know, I ain't on every scene, you feel me? And so they were like, yo, come on by and do the video. I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, now we got Wayne, we got Drake, we got all these people here and everything. And I was like, I don't give a You know, it's just not my vibe.
Right.
You know, they're all cool people, you know, but I don't just move like that because somebody is someplace. And we'll send a jet and all that. No, I don't need no jets and all that. Right. Long story short, after the video was shot, then it was all these articles. I guess they had the press set up. Uncle Luke and French Montana. And
so this nigga went. He went.
All them. And then I'm like, I don't know nothing about this song. So people start hitting me. I was like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
You know, and that was, you know, and then it became a little, as if it was a little beef. And I was like, yo, bro, I don't have beef with nobody.
Did French Montana look out? Like, did they cut you a check? Did Diddy cut you a check?
No, I ain't want no check. I ain't want no check.
Why not?
If it was done the right way, yeah, we'll negotiate, you know, through people, but I don't want checks like that.
Right.
Yeah, I just let people have shit.
All money ain't good money.
I was about to say.
Did you party with Diddy a lot?
Oh, no, not really. I would go to the party and leave early.
Why wouldn't
so you did go to the party? You was at the party?
I go to the party and leave early. I'm sorry.
Nigga,
I don't know what goes on after hours, but
He wasn't trying to find out.
I wasn't trying to find out. You know, I know my place. You feel.
So
if that is not some of the worst lying I've ever heard in my life, yeah, I was at the party, but I left early.
He was on the Stephen Smith show. Uncle Luke revealed that he believes whatever Diddy is going through is orchestrated by the higher-ups that he's offended. And this includes the company that he sued and won against, messing up their stocks.
Homeland Security is raiding his homes in L.A. and Miami. They're raiding P. Diddy's property. I never thought I'd see that.
In broad daylight?
In broad daylight.
Yeah, because you know, normally when the federales come, they come at 4 o'clock in the morning when you sleep.
So, because they came in broad daylight, what do you make of it?
I think it was a big grandstand situation.
Because it was daylight.
It was daylight. It was sending a message. It was sending a message that this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. I mean, it obviously covered every news station. Everybody got to see, you know, them grabbing the kids out, which I had a little problem with.
Yeah. And you ain't after the kids, you after him. That's not
yeah. You know, and that, I mean, grabbing the kids, dragging them out, putting them in handcuffs. I mean, that could be traumatizing for these type of kids. These type of kids ain't lived no street life. They don't know nothing about that. They live the good life, which, you know, because their parents provided that for them. But I think, you know, a lot of guys like the Diddys and the Kanye Wests of the world, you know, when you go cut them deals, when you go in the back room and you cut them deals with the major corporations, you need to know where you stand at. You need to know that, you know, that these people really own you. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you need to know how to play the game, and I don't think he played the game in the right way, because at the end, if you're gonna sue Diageo, you better have your stuff together.
Yeah,
because
politicians love them.
That politicians love. They're arguably the number one liquor brand in the world. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, you know, when you look at politics and how politics work, you know, these type of corporations do what? They put money into politicians' campaign fund.
But that's why I think he's in a world of trouble. And I don't know anything. I don't want anybody to think I know anything. Diddy is always cool with me. He always treats me with respect. I hope that he's innocent of what he's of what they're investigating for. You know, some sex ring, some sex trafficking ring, and all of this stuff. I hope he's innocent of all that. I don't know what the hell is going on, but I do feel this way. In the world of big business, and this needs to be said while I'm sitting right next to you, Luke Campbell. In the world of big business, when you make an enemy of big business, along the way, they know enough about you.
Yes, they do.
To come for you when they want to come for you.
Yes, they do.
You understand? And it don't have to involve jail. It doesn't have to involve a crime.
Now, the belief by many is that it's just over for Diddy. It's done. Now, ever since the raid, Diddy's tried to live his life as normal as possible. But it doesn't seem like that's going to make people stop exposing him. If this was one of his freakoffs, I'm sure he wouldn't mind being exposed to everybody. Dude trying to run around everywhere. People calling him Mr. Fix-a-Flat because he's trying to fill up all them holes. Now, a lot of people got the opinion of, I don't know if he's going to jail, but I know his career's over. And honestly, these people probably ain't too far from the truth.
I don't think it's canceling.
People keep going like, there's smoke and there's fire. No, the house is burnt down, bro. Diddy is that guy.
Yeah,
like everybody from Cassidy to the stories to the guy that just did the, you know, he went to court and he's suing him and Lil Rod. And it's like, bro, there's a lot of information out there that's not good from his security guy that was Michael Jackson's security, that was the first guy in the scene when Mike died, to allegedly they're saying Diddy shot some dude and left and they just basically clean it up for him. It's like, bro, there's a lot of nefarious. How much gay stuff is going to come out with Diddy and Meek Mills? And bro, it's so crazy too. You guys know this. The moment somebody's like, man, he's done some gay stuff, from that moment on, every time you see a video and they just turn, you're like, oh, he's gay. He's gay, dude.
What are the actual facts of the story? Like, you've done some content on this. What do you actually know about
that
this?
much. I just know that there's like a lot of accusations. There's some, I guess, Me Too-esque stuff. Obviously, there's stuff with Cassie, maybe other people coming out.
I don't believe shit Cassie said.
But that being said, I think he just won a lawsuit with his like liquor company.
I don't believe nothing Cassie
so
said.
He was at a, I don't know if that's even
I really don't.
I've
run into too many women that would just lie about this shit when they don't get their way.
Yeah, it might be even for like a couple billion or
they
something.
They just get mad and just start lying.
He basically just got to stay out of jail. And then he can go off into the sunset.
Well, he settled with Cassie in like a minute, and that was his girl for like a decade or so.
I don't know if he settled with her in a minute. Like, in order for that information to hit the blogs, they're probably going back and forth for a while, and then he's not paying.
And she's like, I'm talking.
Well, I'm going to talk. And then they're like, no, you're not.
Okay.
And then she did, and now
$30 million.
Yeah.
Just to be like, shh.
Within 24 hours.
Wow. How much did she get?
Not even 24 hours.
Did she really get 30 million?
She said, we were able to settle things out, or I don't know what the words was she used. But, you know, I'm all these other things that's going on with the guys and Meek Mill. Who called them out, by the way? Forget about Tate, but which rapper was it that went after... is it 50 that he has a problem? Who is the person that always goes after him?
50 is always going after. 50 is the man. But 50 is, and if you're on 50's bad side, bro, God bless you, man. May God protect you because he is not letting that foot off your neck ever.
Yeah, with Floyd, Ja Rule, Floyd Mayweather, he does not play games, bro.
Also, one of the most charismatic dudes I've ever met.
No shit. So 50's developing a documentary on Diddy allegations, vows to donate proceeds.
Wow.
Sexual assault. Can you hold it? When is this?
Dude, this guy's a troll.
No, he is unstoppable, man.
This guy. Yeah. This guy. I remember when he was doing the stuff with Mayweather. It's like, here, put the alphabet. I want him to read a book.
One page from a Harry Potter book. Yeah. He was like, I'll donate 500,000.
And
these are both New Yorkers.
They were best friends, though. They were best friends, too. Like,
what was
really
the falling out?
Like, that's his business, man. I'll let him explain that to you. But like, they were really close. So that's, I think,
is it a public story or no?
I don't know exactly. I don't know. I know he talked to me about something, but I let him share his business.
Yeah. To me, there's a part about 50 that gives me a man's man vibe.
Bro, he is.
That's the vibe I get from him, and even the way he
shot 9
edifies
times.
Eminem. You just gotta love the way he edifies Eminem.
Just a lot of respect. A loyal dude who really understands people from a young age. From a very young age, understood social dynamics. Like he told me, he was like, yeah, when I was like 12 or 13, I was raised by like old heads and I was just observing them. You don't get to talk a lot when you're with the old dudes. So you're just kind of watching the power dynamics, watch how things work. Man, he told me some crazy story. I don't know if I can share, but
now, multiple times he's been linked with the murder of Tupac and Biggie. Now, many who believed it have been tagged conspiracy theorists. It's all different now since the appearance of Kid Cudi in court.
The cold case that no one ever expected to be solved is, of course, a huge step closer to being solved. The arrest in the Tupac Shakur murder 27 years later really shocked everyone last week. And we still have questions about why now.
Right.
That the police haven't fully explained yet.
Because the man who is now charged with the murder confessed in 2008 that he was involved.
And has been saying it very openly in interviews that he handed the gun to a guy named Orlando Anderson, his nephew. And Keefe's story is that Orlando pulled the trigger and fired the shots into the car, which Suge Knight was driving. Tupac was the passenger.
Tupac was killed and Suge was shot.
Was hit but survived. So everyone was wondering what Suge's reaction is to there finally being an arrest in this case. You would think maybe he would be happy that there's going to be justice.
Well, also, and is he going to testify? So I spoke with him a very short time ago. And he is in prison right now. I talked to him when he was on the jailhouse phone and wanted to find out what he felt about the Keefe arrest and whether he would cooperate in the trial. Tell me what your reaction is to the arrest of Keefe D.
Well, surprise, number one, because I didn't think Keefe D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested. Let's get one thing straight, first and foremost. Me and Keefe D played on the same Pop Warner football team. And whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement with anything, if he didn't have any involvement with anything, I wouldn't wish somebody to go into prison on my worst enemy.
The DA says that Keefe D was in the car with his nephew, and that presumably his nephew, according to the DA, is the one that shot Tupac, and that it was done with the full knowledge of Keefe. Do they have it right?
It was only two people in the car. And Pac not going to tell the story. I ain't going to tell the story, but I tell you this. And I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my hearing and told to let me go and told the truth. They still didn't let me go.
If you are called to testify in this case?
I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Well, number one, because I'm not going to get on the stand and testify on somebody for what?
they seem to be saying that Orlando was the shooter and Keefe was in on it, that he had full knowledge of what was going down, and it was revenge for Orlando getting beaten up by Tupac and his team at the MGM after the Tyson fight. Is that correct?
No.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that part.
To summarize, you are saying Orlando was not the shooter, although you won't say who the shooter was. You are not saying whether Keefe was involved in any way in the shooting. And you are saying that if you're called to testify by either side, you will not comply, you will not testify. Do I have that right?
1,000%. I wouldn't go, I wouldn't testify, none of that. At the end of the day, free Keefe D.
You know what's really interesting is that he is pulling back from Keefe D's own statements.
Right.
Which is
But I will
bizarre.
say, so Suge is saying it wasn't Orlando Anderson, which is something that has been widely believed on the streets and alleged in interviews. Keefe D himself has said it, that Orlando is the person who pulled the trigger, and Orlando Anderson died a couple of years after Tupac did in a separate shooting.
I think everybody else in that car, there were 4 people in that car, and everybody's dead except Keefe.
Right.
And so now Keefe has said he was involved. Suge is intimating, at the very least, that he's not involved the way the DA thinks he was involved.
So the fact that Suge is saying, he's saying it's not Orlando Anderson.
Right.
I hear that. But he's not going to say who it is, which to me makes me feel like him saying it's not Orlando Anderson doesn't really carry as much weight either, because the reality is Suge is never going to snitch on anybody.
He's never going to snitch, and he's never going to testify. And that was clear.
Him not testifying, I would think that the DA in Las Vegas is not counting on Suge to be a material witness.
I think they're counting more on Keefe's own words.
Right.
So what this means is that there's a high chance that Diddley Boy can be charged for his death if Keefe D decides to save his own neck, as he should. I don't think there's a whole lot of people out there in the world that's willing to die for P. Diddley right now. It's almost like being drugged and abused. It makes you have a certain opinion about a dude, don't it? Who knew?
They asked me a question today about, Drake not responding. And I had to tell them, I respected it. Like, when we got hit with Hit 'Em Up, I had to make the call to Biggie. And I said, we're not going to respond. Somebody's going to get hurt if we respond. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but, I could understand that perspective, because Tupac hit us with Hit 'Em Up. And that joint was cold. We would take your turntables. You played Hit 'Em Up. You know what I'm saying? That's how cold that thing hurt to this day. You know what I'm saying? And then when Jay-Z, I know Jay-Z and Nas, they friends, but that's if you hear Ether coming out the joint, I still feel a way. I mean, I never felt the way with Hit 'Em Up. You know what I'm saying? I never felt a way with it, because I really laughed at it, the way I was portrayed in the video. I saw the fun in it. I'm not going to play it at my birthday party.
Right, yeah.
Can you envision a day when, y'all, if not get together and make an album, just peacefully coexist?
There's no dream of making an album with Biggie and Puffy, or none of them. We're not sweating it like that.
This is our
we
family
We
over
peacefully
here.
coexist right now because we all cool. Everybody's here. They sell records. We sell records. Well, I guess you could call that selling records, what they do. We sell large amounts of records, and they sell a few records.
Meek Mill, a man who been through a lot in the music industry, but lately, he been losing the people. I'm talking about anytime you see a post about Meek Mill, he always getting clowned or made fun of. A prime example of this was him and Michael Rubin. Michael Rubin had this man Meek Mill jumping up and down like he was a bunny rabbit on camera.
Why are you doing bunny hops, Meek? Because you got your ass beat in tennis. You got your ass beat. Keep going. Count out loud. Count out loud.
And when I say the internet was just trolling Meek, it was bad. He was getting hit with all kind of allegations. Specifically, they was calling Meek a little fruit. See, when all of this went down, it was early this year, when the whole Diddy lawsuit was going on. And if you don't know, Meek and Diddy had been real close over the years. And Meek was spoken on specifically in the Diddy lawsuit that came out of February. Diddy male ex-producer was suing Diddy for SA. NBC News reports that Rodney, Lil Rod Jones, a producer and videographer, fought a
$100 million he got paid too. Diddy did that.
lawsuit against Diddy in federal court. Rodney Jones listed Diddy, his son Justin Combs, UMG CEO, Combs chief of staff, ex-Motown record CEO as defendants in the suit. Rod said that for years he traveled with Diddy. He was recording his music videos, making beats, just basically trying to get his money. But it ain't turned out like that. He said that allegedly he was essayed by Diddy many times during that time period. And in this same lawsuit, Meek Mill was spoke on.
Mr. Combs informed Mr. Jones that he had engaged in rapper 5, that's redacted. Look, 5, he's a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. Yo, Meek, we were playing around with that Michael Rubin. But if you've been tweeting about everything on planet Earth. If you don't get a Twitter rant saying you about to get Lil Rod, you about to shoot up his block, blow his mama's house up, this is saying that you and Diddy were fornicating. What the me? Like, I can't even imagine such debauchery and such happening to a gangster rapper like me. Imagine after a freak-off session with allegedly Meek and Diddy, and now Diddy's over here braided Meek's hair. Like, come on, bro. No. He's a Philly rapper who did not. No way. Nah, it's no way, bro.
And see, people was already feeling how they did about Freaky Meek before this lawsuit came out. And for him to get accused of this, on top of everything he had already been going through over the years, was a recipe for disaster. And a disaster it was. The entire world was calling Meek Mill gay, and he couldn't take it no more. He got right on Twitter, snapping on everybody. Meek got on Twitter, said, they ain't gonna play no games with me. They trying to do damage control. The same thing they almost tricked y'all with Lil Baby. I'm from Philly. I don't do no coke. I don't do no freak molly. Nobody would ever even offer me coke because I'm that heavy. No man would ever approach me about no gay activity in the whole place. Don't get it flipped. Woke up seeing this on every blog like they know how I'm coming. LOL. And see, with Diddy getting arrested,
oh, they know how he coming. Oh.
a few days ago, who knows what some of these witnesses finna come out on this stand and say. And while I was editing this, Meek got on Twitter and responded to it. He said, I will personally give you $1 million if these stories add up and anything weird beyond trench/hood level. It's 2 things we can't do in the trenches. There's no way y'all know what type of man I am. Then he gonna promote a song at the end of this. That wasn't the only thing Meek said though. He also got on Twitter and said, I want to hire an investigative team, $100K cash, to find out every specific detail involving Meek Mill name to the Diddy case. I also want them to look at who is powering the media involving Meek with anything to do with Buddy. Something not right. He said the streets know what's up with me, and that's not the case. We talking about business side. Somebody powering these bad campaigns with Meek Mill. Again, I got $100K for a thorough investigation of who's powering and how exactly my name is connected to this. It would be crazy if Meek Mill got dropped in court and it would just blow everything up, because ever since Diddy got arrested, you done seen the memes. Every time you get on Twitter, you get on IG, you see somebody making a meme about Meek Mill and Diddy. It's getting bad for me, but we just gotta let it unfold. We gotta see what really come of this Diddy case. But about them tweets, they wasn't just about Diddy. He also started coming at Akademiks, because Akademiks started to involve himself in the situation. He seen the news about Meek Mill, so he reported on it. He did what he do. Meek said, alcoholic with no life, talking to kids on a computer. Normal kids watch Kai, Aiden, Wallow, Gilly. You a sick old black man with no life achievements, trying to destroy black men because you envious as men. He said, the way y'all niggas coming in sick now, I can't wait to meet Akademiks. And so after he tweeted about Akademiks, you know what Akademiks do, act like the #1 troll in hip hop. After Meek sent these tweets out, Ak responded with his own tweets, and he got on Twitter snapping on Meek. All that trolling and bunny hopping killer energy by Meek Mill. His EP did a grand total of 368,000 streams first day on Spotify. It's roughly 3,500 streams. That equals 1 album. Ak said that's 105 albums sold via streaming on Spotify day 1. And Ak later on went into more detail about the situation. He said when Meek seen that clip of him on stream, finding out about what happened, Meek thought the whole thing was cap. He thought Ak made it up, or it was AI generated or something. So he just started snapping on dude. But not only was he just talking shit, he was threatening the Akademiks over these Twitter words. So really think about it. He was that mad over Ak reading the lawsuit that was put into the federal court. This was an actual lawsuit with submitted documents, and Meek did all that because he thought it was fake. And y'all should have knew it was gonna happen. Ak got on stream trolling once again. And for some context on this, Meek Mill and the Philly governor got some ties together, right? They worked together from time to time. Meek be helping with the prison system in Philly. And sometime last year, Meek had joined the government with signing the probation reform and the clean slate legislation.
And what's really messed up about Meek's situation is people ain't making fun of Meek for being zesty. They making fun of Meek for being zesty and the bottom.
So just know that Meek and the Philly governor actually be together. And he was the same nigga that was online threatening to kill this blogger over some tweets.
I understand that you're over here now trying to play victim, saying that this guy wants me dead or in jail, but you tweeted out your damn self, sir, you're willing to die. But I guess what you're trying to say now is all satire. That's not going to stop us from calling the governor. We're going to call him tomorrow, okay? We're going to have a hotline going on. I'm going to put it on my story. Make sure everybody call that, okay? We're going to call your governor while you tweet out one side of your mouth about how you will spin blocks, got switches, got Dracos, will kill pull up to his house, piss on their steps. You got $1 million to wipe people's families off the map. You cannot be in the same breath then looking the other way, in the other side of your mouth, saying how much the prison system is unfair because a nigga who does A deserves to be in jail. But you ain't the guy who do A. You just keep saying it. So you know what we're going to do? Just like how you told the governor that I'm responsible for murders, we're going to give you the choice. You either stop doing that. We're going to make sure you stop. Like, it's over for that. Okay? Stop tweeting like a killer. Or you could tweet like a killer and say it's jokes, but you're not going to be sitting next to the governor. You're going to pick one. Then we're giving you an ultimatum. You can't be an activist in the daytime and a goddamn villain in the nighttime. What you think this is, nigga, Gotham City? No, nigga. You got to pick a goddamn side. Are you a killer? Or are you an activist? That is the question I will continue to ask you. And I'm going to ask the mayor. Michael Rubin is a private businessman at this point. I don't have nothing to ask him. They don't care as long as you make their iced coffees and their lattes and, you know what I mean? You fix them their drinks and bunny hop all over the place like a good boy. We saw you even bunny hopping on the radar freestyle. It's okay. Of course, he's going to like you. Maybe you're giving Robert Kraft the rugged tug he used to get in those spots. We got no problem with you and the couple white billionaires you got going on, right? But you know who we do got a problem with? Anytime you stand next to an elected official, law enforcement, or anybody else, and you try to act like you're the epitome of what injustice on a prison reform level looks like. You went to jail for popping a wheelie, boy. Stop it, okay? You're acting like you didn't have Rock Nation show up to court every single time. You damn near had the FBI investigate your goddamn judge because you were crying saying it was unfair.
And this brings us back to what I said at the start of the video. Meek and Michael Rubin. Remember, Meek Mill was bunny hopping up and down a while before these allegations hit him. And that video resurfacing just made everything 10 times worse. It was getting so bad for Meek that Michael Rubin came out defending Meek, saying that Meek ain't have a single gay bone in his body and that everyone else was just doing too much.
Okay, but I want to get this out there. Meek, I know that guy really, really well. Everyone going around trying to say, and by the way, if he was gay, who cares? There's not a gay bone in his body. You guys know him. Like, I know him. I've been around him more than anybody. People are just like, the internet, one of my best friends said to me, I think Meek's gay now. I'm like, why? Because I've read it 10,000 times. There's not a gay bone in that guy's body. So it's like, why do people want to bring somebody down? Why do people want to hate on somebody? Why does someone go lie on somebody? And by the way, talk about the bunny hops. Okay, you're talking about the most unathletic person in planet Earth is Michael Rubin. I pride myself on that. And why do by the way, why do I put the funny videos out making fun of myself? Because I want people to know, but you could suck at sports and be the person who was picked last all the time. You can be the person that was terrible in school. Remember, I barely graduated high school. And then you can work your ass off and be great in business. So I'm trying to show people, do what you're great at and excel in that.
Right. But you see, Meek getting clowned by the industry go back years. People always treated Meek Mill like a joke for some reason. Like back in 2022 when Kanye was speaking on Meek, I'm not even lying when I say this. Kanye deadass laughed at the thought of Meek Mill's name even being brought up.
I go and I put White Lives Matter on a t-shirt. And they're like, well, we can't go get, oh, you know what? Let's go get celebrities. Let's go get Puff Daddy. Let's get Dave Chappelle. Let's go get Meek Mills. What made somebody think Meek Mills could say something to me? What made? No, this is the funniest thing of everything. Yo, man, I'm about to start crying, laughing, man. Somebody thought Meek Mills. Sorry, no, I'm sorry.
Meek's a gangster.
Go get to my
Meek's a gangster, gang. Meek is a gangster, man.
Somebody said, "Oh, Meek." No, I'm literally in tears. It's like Meek.
Meek gonna piss him off. Meek gonna talk some shit to him.
For context on this, Basically, Kanye was just doing Kanye shit. For whatever reason, he steps out the house in a White Lives Matter shirt. And of course, it's gonna go viral. You see the controversy with that. And the whole industry started coming at Ye. And the person we gonna focus on right now is Boosie. Boosie got on Twitter speaking on Ye and said, Kanye West, after all we've been through as a race, you put this disrespectful shirt on. You give no ifs about how many blacks have died and suffered to the hands of white men. You say that Bush don't like black people, really? And a couple days later, Ye got on Twitter and responded to Boosie. He said, speak to me, you little nerd ass dude. Come smack me or shoot me. And this where Meek Mill coming to the picture. See, he seen the White Lives Matter shirt. He seen everything that Ye was doing. Meek got on IG and wrote a whole think piece just talking about what Kanye did. Meek said, I used to listen to Ye every night in jail for motivation on God and came home and watched my name and brand like nothing. I ain't say nothing, but I been knew you was on that nerd trying to talk the street. You just said it to Boosie. It hurts my soul to even know some of y'all that's crazy and lame. I don't need no verses from no because I've been hot since 13. Justin, little boy, don't invite me to none of them weird ass parties, bro. I go off person, not fame or money. Speaking from a nigga that's been buying support for Ye since he came out, but what you been doing for fame driving you crazy. Look how hard you came at me. Know I'm vocal and it's like you hate your own people. You ain't even post that Vori album even after he did all that work for you. He look up to you. You made sure you said Jack Harlow was the hottest shit in Kentucky. Overlook, EST, and Vori. See, the thing with these two getting into it, it's not really a surprise because they actually had problems with each other long before this even went down. See, back in 2020, Meek and Kanye problems kind of started to get deep. Remember what I said, Meek Mill do a lot for the prison system, and someone else who happened to do the same thing was Kim K, Kanye's wife at the time. And it makes sense that these two would eventually get intertwined with each other. I mean, they both trying to work toward the prison system. And so eventually it do happen. Meek and Kim have a meeting about prison reform, and Ye hated that. He was so mad on Twitter that he said he was finna divorce his wife over that. And this brings us back to the whole Kanye laughing at Meek thing. The reason he was disrespectful to him was because of all the back and forth the two was doing over the years. So after Ye did the Clubhouse thing where he laughed at Meek, Meek did what he always do. He got on Twitter and had something to say. Meek said, never lost my mind for fame or money. I still got my family. My people respect me. I'm freeing people from prison. I'm doing community service all month with children up close and personal. I'm chilling with my son and his friends today, and y'all on Clubhouse at 50. But the problems didn't even stop with just him. Even his artist was getting into it. It seemed like this year just ain't it for him. So one of his main artists, Vori, got into something career ruining early this year. Footage came out where he was getting into it with his girl. And this wasn't no little normal argument. This wasn't them just going back and forth. He was snapping on her. He was threatening it. He was threatening all kind of stuff toward her. And when this footage came out, Meek dropped him off the label off rip. He came out saying, this not a dream chaser. He got a mental problem. We cutting ties with you. We don't care how your music sounds. He been ducking my calls for months telling people I'm threatening him. Stopped a lot of people, dude. He is not a dream chaser. I'm disconnected from all these wild ass niggas while it's lit out here. Life kind of serious. Hold your folks tight. Every time somebody in the A rob him, he gotta call me, and I politely call people I rock with to assist him while he biting my back. I'd rather disconnect from people like that. Y'all out here manipulating everybody. And this situation had the internet feeling crazy because not only was it a crazy situation to be in, but this was one of Meek Mill artists on top of everything else he was facing this year. Problem still ain't stopped. I'm telling you, Meek was on the road this year. He went to war with another rap legend. He went from Kanye West to 50 Cent. Sometime this year, these two ended up getting into it. But why? What did Meek Mill do to make that nigga that mad? So ever since the Diddy allegations came out, y'all know what 50 do. He gon' troll. And he trolled. And it was getting to Meek Mill. Meek got on Twitter and said this. Meek said, my last project sold 90K first week. Expensive pain. Ross did that for his last CD for fun. Let me out my contract because we rich and we got some type of history. It's different, LOL. I don't even know how Cuban was talking to you. Your swag is whack. He said, I never seen black people laugh at black people getting indicted. He really be online enhancing people cases, and he got real statements against niggas. You ain't even feed Mike Knox yet. Everybody on to you, but let me stop. These the niggas y'all look up to. These the people that destroy black families and succeed like bad cops. I don't find him funny. I see him as a rich parasite. Y'all be rooting for other people to go to jail and claiming he from the streets. I'ma start bombing on y'all. And 50 Cent replied and said, now why would you say some shit like this when you know the feds investigating? Is you stupid or is you dumb? Meek responded, because you federal. The street queens know why you trying to pick on a little boy. Your own son hates your guts, LOL. I'm so grateful to be on the island with my son and his friends on his B-Day. Don't follow these guys. They miserable lives be terrible. I say what I want because a war come behind me if that's the case, but y'all got that rap shit too loose. Somebody gonna die and y'all gonna be calling y'all federal friends just because y'all not hot no more. Tearing y'all folks down because that's all y'all can do. But what did 50 had to say? After Meek said all of this and announced he was on vacation and all of that, 50 got on Twitter and said this: "You sold 6K copies your last project. You should not be on vacation. Still chasing the dream or embracing the nightmare. Standing by your man, I respect it." But that wasn't all 50 had to say. He sent out another tweet. He said, "I commend you for being a strong, supportive woman for your man, Meek. Stay by his side and stay together. You guys have a good life. God bless." And guess what this nigga posted? He posted a clip of Meek Mill at a Diddy party. And when Meek started talking about smashing a girl, you see how fast Diddy turned around. Diddy looked at this nigga like, "What you on here talking about?" But did Meek really sell 6K like 50 said? Sadly, he did. Meek Mill really did sell 6K copies in 2024. Granted, it was on the EP, but that still don't mean too much. Because if you remember, back before Uzi had dropped Pink Tape, he dropped the EP called Pink Plus White. And that sold about 25K. And that was a little EP. But there was a caveat to that. When Uzi dropped this EP, it wasn't on streaming. The EP was only on streaming for like 3 days out of the whole 7-day week. And for Meek to sell 6K with a full 7-day cycle, it's kind of odd, but you got to give it to him. It is an EP. But back to Meek, I get that he do want to defend himself from all the allegations and everything everybody's saying to him. But in reality, he is proving Drake's point from 2015. Drake said almost 10 years ago that Meek Mill got Twitter fingers, and Meek really do got Twitter fingers. Anytime anything happens, Meek always get on Twitter speaking on it. Anything that ever happens in his life, he always gonna go on Twitter and just hurt his reputation because he want to speak on something. Meek Mill reputation in the dirt because of all the Twitter talking and beefing he do. It's like anytime Meek Mill step out or do anything, he gets clowned. He remixed Family Matters by Drake at one point, and people was just laughing at it, but the story keeps going on. Akademiks and Meek just couldn't stop getting into it. Earlier this year, Ak got into a weird situation that I'm not gonna go too much in, but basically he was getting accused of R, and Meek spoke on it. He replied to a post talking about the situation. My mixtapes made a post speaking on the Akademiks situation. It said Akademiks says he's innocent after he got sued for R and defamation. And Meek responded and said, "Whatever these niggas sold, they sold to. I'm not in it." What? Now he telling why he was reporting bad about people. And when Akademiks seen this, he responded.
Telling why he was reporting bad about people. Meek, I will say this to you, your face, on your deathbed. I killed your career, what was left of it. Not because of no paid me. You disrespected me 9 years ago, and I kept it, and I'm like an elephant. I will never forget. Please don't try to bring up anything else. I laugh, and Meek, I will never in my life make sure if I see you at the top of the charts, trust me, I'm having a bad day. I laugh. I have a good time. I have my feet kicked up. I jack off to the fact that your career is 6 feet under because you disrespected a who was born in Spanish Town, Jamaica, who happened to now have hip hop in the palm of his hands. What these other try to say about me, I'm still gonna be there. Your career ain't coming back. I killed it. Drake killed it. The Game killed it. Rick Ross killed it. Even though you cool with him now, they all killed it. But I issued the last and final blow. You could tweet about me all you want to tweet, my nigga. But trust me, your counterparts call me every day and said, "Ak, you a bad mother. You killed that career." I did it because you disrespected me. The next time you see somebody you call a nerd, the next time you see somebody who you feel is lesser than you, all that street shit don't matter. Boy, all that shooting and all that shit you did, nigga. Boy, you ain't talking about any car you get, I could get. Any house you got, I could get. I got the same money. What you talking about? I just did this to show a like you should have respect. The reason why a little baby's going through hell, I'm going to teach you. You better have some fucking respect. The person, let me tell you this, it's in the Bible. The stone the builder refuses becomes the head cornerstone. The reason why your career is at where it's at, I'm going to keep laughing at it. I don't care what you tweet out for the rest of your life. Remember, you said you had that had more followers than me. And I'm sitting here laughing at your demise. I took $1 million out of your label's budget. You not talking about, you ain't never take $1 million out of my pocket.
And what's crazy is, even though Meek does get a lot of hate and people don't look at him the same, people can still admit over the years that he did have hit songs. He did do a lot for hip hop and the music space in general. And I'm saying all this because not too long ago,
Prince has great songs too, but he's not parading around as a gangbanger, only to find out he's getting bent over washing machines and whatnot.
At the end of August, someone was on the podcast and spoke on Meek. And she was basically on some DDG Bruce shit. She was like, I can't even name 5 Meek Mill songs till he put a gun to the back of my head.
I think Meek, outside of Dreams and Nightmares, I don't know anyone who could name 5 Meek records. Meek,
You're terrible for that.
Meek, I don't care.
Wait, you're terrible for this.
That's
not a good take.
That's fine. Name 5.
I'm a Meek fan.
Oh, okay. Name 5.
Amen, flexing, Maybach curtains, oodles and noodles.
We do.
So here's the thing.
Which is weird. He's a legend.
Meek, no. Oh God.
Man, yes he is.
So the problem is,
Yeah, what's the
and
issue?
this is probably me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jay-Z came out and said he was the next Jay-Z.
Oh, okay.
Meek Mill having that title on him, that label on him, and him being like.
But you believe that when Hov said it? Hov said he was like,
Hov said no, but a lot.
And what's crazy about her saying this is that it sparked up a whole debate on Twitter. People on Twitter was really defending Meek. One reply to the post with 48K views and 2K likes said this: dog, y'all gotta stop interviewing Mandy B at this point. If you was in college or the streets from 07 to 2015, Meek was everywhere. Meek got 4 RIAA certified albums and 40 songs either gold or platinum. This is ridiculous. Another comment said, raise the price on podcast equipment. And that's not a crazy thing to say, because a lot of people do be on these podcasts chatting a whole bunch of nothing. And what's crazy is, Meek responded to the damn post. He could have just let it fry. He could have just let the people on Twitter defend him, and he could have went on about his day, but he replied. He said, how many hits on this mixtape do you know? Not Billboard classified hits. I got those too, but this 2011 vibes, I'm kind of rap invincible. The Mandela effect is real, huh? See, even though Meek does get the hate and the disrespect that he does, people can admit what he done did for the culture and what he done did just for music in general. I just feel like Meek, a person who can't really handle social media. A lot of careers would be better if they didn't respond to the hate or get online speaking on problems that they didn't really have no business speaking on. Prime example, what's going on right now with the whole What's the Dirt thing. This nigga speaking on black culture when he could have just kept his mouth out of it. And that turned into him getting a lot of hate. I guarantee you, if Meek wasn't out here on Twitter every single day tweeting about BS, people would have a lot more respect for him. Remember what I said? He basically proved Drake's point, and people never forgot that. And a prime example of people not forgetting this is when somebody on Twitter said this: when trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers is the true definition of Meek Mill. And for whatever reason, Meek Mill responded to this random person's tweet with a video. Well, guess what? Him in the gun range shooting some guns. He said, I started off with triggers, but if you're not in the tech nowadays, you'll be behind on life. I like computers better than guns. I play with them guns better than the computer though. I just choose not to, only for defense. Now Meek, why would you respond to this? Why would you respond to this random ass person on Twitter with this corny response? And it's just stuff like this that causes people not to respect Meek. Meek would be held to a higher standard if he didn't do all the talking that he do. And the people in the replies was even questioning Meek, like, why did he do this? And I hope Meek can turn his career around, because I feel like right now, if he was to drop a solid body of work, if he was to drop a really good album, people would not want to listen to it because of everything he done did over the past few years. Public perception is everything when it comes to music space. But Meek Mill public perception is in the dirt because he can't stop tweeting. But how do y'all feel about Meek Mill? Do he need a break off?
Did Sean Combs really try to blow up rapper Kid Cudi's car?
Yes.
It's a stunning allegation that we
No, it's
first saw in
not.
Cassandra Ventura's lawsuit,
No.
but is now echoed by prosecutors in their criminal case against the entertainment mogul. We're gonna break this down for you, and we get a chance to speak to a fire investigator about what evidence can prove Combs was allegedly behind this arson. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. There is quite an incredible allegation surrounding Sean Diddy Combs that we have to talk about. And the question becomes, how will prosecutors prove this? So as we know, Combs was arrested last week pursuant to a grand jury indictment out of the Southern District of New York. He's charged with racketeering conspiracy. Basically, there was an agreement between him and others to operate a criminal enterprise that engaged in a pattern of illegal activity, and that for years,
AKA, he had to pay for everything and still went to prison.
Combs threatened and abused women, sex trafficking
Had
of an individual by using
relations
force,
with
fraud, or
one of his
coercion to have
guards.
them perform commercial sex acts, and
Commercials.
transporting people
Get through
to
the camera?
engage in prostitution.
feel
Very
it?
serious felony charges.
How
If convicted,
dare he pay? He should not have
potentially he
paid
could be
the
looking
women.
at the rest of his life behind bars.
Yep.
Now, in the indictment, prosecutors allege that as part of this racketeering conspiracy that
Never pay,
Combs
man.
and his
You'll just go to
co-conspirators
jail for
engaged
it.
in,
Don't even pay.
they participated in a number of underlying or predicate crimes that prosecutors are going to prove. Forced labor, sex trafficking, kidnapping, violent acts to assert control to further the criminal enterprise. In fact, the indictment reads, when employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. And that is what I want to focus on right now, the arson idea. So, in a racketeering charge, prosecutors have to prove, as I mentioned, these underlying crimes, at least two predicate underlying crimes. And here, arson is defined under the California Penal Code as a person is guilty of arson when he or she willfully and maliciously sets fire to or burns or causes to be burned, or who aids, counsels, or procures the burning of any structure, forest land, or property. Now, who could this be in reference to, right? Which arson is this about? Well, going back to Cassandra Ventura's lawsuit, and remember, Combs' ex-girlfriend, who initially sued him for sexual assault, battery, sex trafficking back in November 2023, started this whole ball rolling. She alleged in her lawsuit, quote, in 2011, during a rough patch in a relationship with Sean Combs, she ended up having a relationship with rapper and Grammy Award-winning artist Kid Cudi, real name Scott Mescudi. And then she alleged, quote, Mr. Combs found Miss Ventura's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Mr. Combs became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at Miss Ventura. Miss Ventura ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Mr. Combs' wrath. Soon thereafter, one of Mr. Combs' staff members told Miss Ventura that he needed to just talk to, even though Mr. Combs was enraged. Feeling like she could not escape Mr. Combs and his network of enforcers, Miss Ventura returned to Mr. Combs. He hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run out of the door. The following year, she claimed, quote, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. So now we have that allegation. And we have the mention of arson in the indictment. But then we go to the government's bail letter that they filed with the court. They were advocating that Combs be denied bail. He has been twice. And they allege, quote, in the early morning hours of December 22nd, 2011, the defendant and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of Individual 1. By the way, Individual 1 is not named, but we'll get to that. Multiple witnesses would testify at trial to the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, the latter of which is corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, the defendant's co-conspirators set fire to Individual 1's vehicle by slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside the interior. Police and fire department reports extensively document the arson and conclude that the fire was intentionally set.
Oh boy.
Multiple witnesses would also testify to the defendant bragging about his role in destroying Individual 1's car. Hence, why we can make the argument that they are referencing Kid Cudi. This echoes Ventura and the indictment. Actually, I should say that while this mirrors Ventura's description of events, she said this happened slightly later than when prosecutors say it happened, about a month or so difference. But putting that to the side, Kid Cudi actually responded to Ventura's claims in the lawsuit. His representatives told the New York Times back in November when this suit was filed, this is all true. It's so good to see you. Thanks for coming on. First, let's start. How do fire investigations work? Before we even get into the specifics of this, how do fire investigations work?
Well, it's kind of a science. Well, it actually is a science. You have to take each step of the investigation in line with the NFPA guidelines for fire investigations, which is to identify a problem, collect evidence, take that evidence and create a hypothesis, and then you have to prove that hypothesis. So it's called the scientific methodology of conducting a fire investigation. So that is kind of the groundwork for fire investigators. So we have now a guideline to begin our investigation. At that point, you look at the fire, you look at burn patterns, you collect evidence, maybe even evaluate whether or not an accelerant such as gasoline or acetone or something is used to accelerate the fire. And then you might look for devices. You might look for Molotov cocktails, as you mentioned earlier. But that process is the investigative scene examination process. And then you have to take that information you've gathered and you develop your hypothesis on how that incident may have occurred. So outside of that, then you start collecting information from interviews, from video footage that might be at or near the fire incident. And then you might collect things like fingerprints or something that would leave, maybe DNA or something like that, something that would connect the crime to a person.
So when I mention in this case that the government has these fire records and they feel pretty confident to show what they pertain it to show, what would these fire records show to a jury if they're presented in a court of law?
Well, just as I mentioned, the records would identify the process of which they conducted their investigation. In a courtroom, attorneys understand the guidelines for fire investigations. So if their case is weak or if they're feeling a little bit threatened by the progress of prosecution, then they start picking apart the actual investigative process. And they will take it line by line, item by item. They'll challenge every aspect of the investigation. And then they may even start picking apart the qualifications of the fire investigator. So that is why it's so important to try, as an investigator, to try your best to follow the provisions outlined, the standard of care, I call it, of NFPA 921, which is the guide to fire and explosion investigations. And then also make sure that your credentials are solid. You have to have continued training and certification. So that's kind of what you would expect to see in those reports.
Do you have any concern that this is from 2012, right? That's a long time ago. Would that change anything about these records? Would it change? I mean, obviously, if you're talking about a fire investigator coming on the stand, like any witness, you're dealing with something that's from so long ago. There could be witness memory issues. But in terms of the fire records from so long ago, anything we should be thinking about there?
Well, as long as the fire investigator conducted his investigation in accordance with the guidelines, provided that that investigator, whoever that may be, is qualified to conduct that investigation, a record is a stamp in time, if you will. The facts don't change unless the investigator, and I do this with my reports, is I leave it open-ended. So if additional information should come forth that may change the outcome or change the direction of the investigation, the investigator has the ability to add a provision or a clause within that report to say, upon further investigation or additional information, I have the right to change my opinions or enhance my opinions. Right. So I think the report, as it sits, is fine unless an investigator has additional information they may have collected.
So when I'm laid out the facts as alleged by the prosecution and as alleged by Cassandra Ventura, and you're talking about allegedly a Molotov cocktail being used to blow up this car, what do you expect prosecutors will do to show that this happened? Can they prove that it was intentional? How can they prove that a Molotov cocktail was used?
Well, the evidence of the Molotov cocktail being in the vehicle and the slash of the roof is evidence that a suspicious fire or an intentional fire has occurred. So that information is pretty solid. And then you have to start looking for intent. Why was this even done? Was it an act of revenge? Was it an insurance fraud situation?
Act of revenge.
That you have to kind of figure out what was going on. So when you do your interviews, you have to ask the questions, when were the last payments made on your vehicle? Are you upside down in the car? You have to kind of weed out all of the things that may be on the sidelines. And then you just kind of focus your attention on, okay, have you had any recent threats? Have you had any phone calls that may have been made that threaten you or your friends or your family? And then you start honing in on motive. And, arson, there are several different types of motives: arson for profit, revenge, crime cover-up, that type of thing. So as an investigator, you have to begin to weed through all of those potential motives and have to hyper-focus your investigation on who did this, who are the suspects, who are the players in this potential arson crime.
Yeah,
and once you do that, you start asking the questions. It's no different than a detective seeking out information with regard to a homicide or something like that. So you have to be able to ask the appropriate questions. It sounds like with the reports that I'm reading is that the investigators have gone down that path, and they have a lot of confidence that they have their person.
Just to follow up on this, though, how confident can you be that it was, a Molotov cocktail? Why do I say that? I imagine defense attorneys will say, you're saying it's a Molotov cocktail. We can prove it's something else. Maybe we can prove it was not intentional. And if we can even if we can't prove it was not intentional, if we can say it was caused by something other than a Molotov cocktail, it's kind of a chip at the prosecution's case, right? If you can provide an alternative explanation. So how can they be confident that they can say, again, that it was intentional and it was a Molotov cocktail? Is that, if they're painting themselves in that way, right, and that's what seems to be, is that they have to feel confident that that was what it was. The fire investigator has to feel confident that that was what it was. What are some telltale signs that, again, it was intentional and a Molotov cocktail?
Good thing they got witnesses.
Well, the first thing you do, whether you have a container to carry, a Molotov cocktail basically is a container with some form of a fabric, or we call it a fuse, that the container is holding whether a gasoline or some form of flammable liquid. So we know that we have the flammable liquid, and a flammable liquid is really not supposed to be inside of a vehicle. So you have that element that there is something foreign that has been introduced to the interior of the vehicle, and that can be determined by the use of an arson dog or canine. They go in and they identify areas that an accelerant may have been used, and at that point you collect lab samples, you collect seat cushions, carpeting, whatever, and then you send that off to a lab for further examination, and they make a determination what type of accelerant it is. So that you set that aside, going, well, we have an accelerant inside of a car, and then you start looking for fragments of a bottle. And if you can even piece together some form of a container that's been thrown in the vehicle, that helps. But ultimately, the gasoline inside the vehicle is not a normal thing. So you've got the element of an arson just in the fact you have gasoline in the car. So, right. I think that may be where they're going with this. Even if somebody says, well, it wasn't a Molotov cocktail, which is another charge, actually, because it's a device that's been constructed for the purpose of setting a fire. So there's a separate charge with that.
Those would be state charges, right? I mean, this is more of part of an overall federal racketeering case. I do want to ask you this. You mentioned DNA. That perked my ears up. Is it possible that, given the description I laid out, that DNA could be present in that car? To the extent, obviously, Kid Cudi's DNA would be in the car, right? It's his car. But the idea of knowing who allegedly was operating this Molotov cocktail, what are the chances you get DNA from that?
Well, the chances, in reality, the chances are fairly slim. But in certain cases, DNA has proven to be very helpful, such as a discarded cigarette, or maybe some gloves that have been left behind at the scene, or maybe the container that was used to carry the gasoline to the scene was not handled with gloves. It might have just been somebody's raw fingers that are on this thing, and which is transferring DNA. So there's different transporting of DNA to a scene. So if you can get that from something, whether it be a door handle or whatever it might be, that's something that investigators would consider. Whether it's successful or not, it just depends on how cunning the arsonist is and how protective they are of the DNA, what's left behind. So that's kind of where I would see it to be helpful.
From a life of parties and open bars to life now behind bars. In the past week,
his bars
has
being
seen
opened
some
every
major
day.
lifestyle changes. And now we're getting reports that Diddy isn't eating while in jail, and it could be because he thinks someone's trying to poison his food. Plus, he's been transferred to a protective unit that already houses convicted fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. So what's it like for a high-profile defendant like Diddy to be locked up in one of the most run-down and violent jails in the U.S.? For that, we'll turn to criminal defense attorney and law and crime legal analyst Imran Ansari, who repped other high-profile defendants like Harvey Weinstein and 50 Cent. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. All right, so big news out of New York, where P.Diddy has been held for more than a week in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. This comes after Diddy's arrest last Monday, following his indictment by a federal grand jury on charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The 14-page indictment lays out some pretty strong claims against Diddy, alleging he's guilty of sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The indictment goes on to allege Diddy showed a pattern of abuse, mostly against women, that included verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, including the use of extensive grooming tactics. There's also mention of something referred to as freakoffs, which are described as elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. During these so-called freakoffs, Diddy would often drug his victims, sometimes without their knowledge, to keep them obedient and compliant. Then, Diddy allegedly required these victims to have sex with prostitutes, and oftentimes he recorded that too. Again, these recordings were made without the victim's knowledge or consent. These freak-off sessions were facilitated by Diddy's associates, that the indictment refers to as part of the Combs enterprise. These associates would procure the sex workers, book the hotel rooms where these freak-offs would take place, and stock the rooms with necessities like baby oil and lube. Now is a good time to note that when federal authorities executed search warrants at 2 of Diddy's properties, they collected 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil, which puts into perspective the severity and scope of these freak-offs. Also during these raids, federal authorities collected digital evidence of this alleged illegal activity. And they kind of had a heads up that Diddy was recording some of this. Multiple civil lawsuits filed against Diddy starting in November of last year allege he sexually assaulted the plaintiffs and often recorded it. Okay, I know you're multitasking when you're watching our videos, but if you're out running errands, Cassie, when she filed civil suit last November. Cassie dated Diddy for years, and she alleges he was physically, verbally, and sexually abusive toward her during that time. Her lawsuit was settled just one day after it was filed, but that was just the start of the civil suits against Diddy. Since 2023, 11 civil suits have listed P. Diddy as the defendant. And now, one federal indictment lists him as the defendant too. After his arrest, Diddy pleaded not guilty to the charges and was twice denied bail. His legal team offered a pretty sizable bail package too, saying that Diddy would put up $50 million for his release. This would have been co-signed by Diddy, his sister, his mom, his 3 adult sons, and the mothers of 2 of his children. The defense also suggested that Diddy would have major restrictions on travel, a GPS monitor, and even limitations on female visitors. All this was presented last week, but U.S.
Females ain't what you got to worry about. With Diddy, it's the dudes.
District Judge Andrew L. Carter said no, arguing this bail package was insufficient to guarantee the safety of the community or to maintain the integrity of the case. So that meant Diddy was remanded to jail, specifically the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the jail, often referred to as just MDC, houses 1,218 inmates right now, of both genders. But according to Diddy's legal team, the jail is notoriously dangerous and run down. Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, argues there are major issues with the jail, citing violence, poor conditions, overcrowding, and staffing issues. He also cited some startling statistics. 2 inmates have been killed at MDC since this June, and at least 4 inmates have died by suicide over the past 3 years. On top of that, 6 staff members have been charged with criminal activity activity over the past 5 years. Diddy's team wants him transferred to a different jail in New Jersey, but Judge Carter says it's up to the Federal Bureau of Prisons to make that decision. So for now, MDC is where Diddy calls home. It's usually where defendants are housed after their arrest and as they're awaiting trial in either Manhattan or Brooklyn. But the issues at MDC are so severe that some judges even refuse to send defendants there at all. But even with its less than desirable conditions, MDC is no stranger to high-profile inmates. Previously housing R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Sam Bankman-Fried, who's actually there right now. Bankman-Fried was convicted of fraud and money laundering last November after the collapse of his cryptocurrency exchange, FTX. And as it happens, Bankman-Fried and Diddy are being housed in the same part of MDC, a unit for inmates that requires special protection. That's people like Diddy or Bankman-Fried who are high-profile names, but it also cares for inmates who may need protection as they assist with ongoing investigations in open cases. Since Diddy's move to this area of MDC, there are reports that he's spoken briefly to his children over the phone. Diddy has 7 children, ranging in age from 33 to 23 months old. According to reports, Diddy is concerned about how his kids are handling his arrest and detainment. And meanwhile, they're allegedly in a state of crisis after only experiencing Diddy as a loving, devoted father. Meanwhile, there are other reports that Diddy has stopped eating. This could be because he isn't enjoying the food, but it also could be because he's paranoid that someone is out to get him and may slip poison into his food. But is that likely or even possible? And what are the perils of MDC, especially for a high-profile defendant like Diddy? Here's where we have to bring in criminal defense attorney Imran Ansari, who represented other celebs like 50 Cent or Harvey Weinstein. He says Diddy's arrest wasn't surprising.
I think we all saw the writing on the wall with Diddy in terms of the civil case leading to a federal investigation. We saw the raids on his residence. And I think that the indictment that we see now wasn't so much a surprise, and it was something that we expected arrest was going to come down the line.
Now he has been arrested. He's been denied bail, so he is behind bars in Brooklyn. And there's been a lot of articles about this. His attorneys are saying that the conditions there at MDC are horrific, horrendous. They're not appropriate to stay in. What is your experience there? Is it really as horrendous as they're saying?
I've had many clients who were housed in MDC Brooklyn, and I can tell you the reports that the facility is something that is less than desirable is 100% accurate. There's been a lot of reports of it being below standard. And
all jails are less than desirable and below standard.
In terms of prison standards. And of course, a prison isn't meant to be a comfortable place, but of course, they have to provide the basic human rights to their inmates. And MDC Brooklyn has been plagued with overcrowding, with violence, with poor food, with poor cleanliness. And P.Diddy, who is in a protective custody unit, is still experiencing all the bad things that MDC Brooklyn has to offer. And it doesn't have a lot to offer in terms of comfort or, things that an inmate would be looking for.
So obviously, anyone who's behind bars is hoping to have a nice place to sleep, food, comfort, as you were saying. But is this place really dangerous? I know that they listed a couple of statistics that there had been several suicides, even potentially murders. So is it possible that he could be in danger?
So he's in protective custody now in the SHU unit, but his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, pointed out recent events in that prison, and MDC Brooklyn has been plagued with a lot of violent acts. It's been really criticized in terms of the conditions that prison inmates have to live with. And certainly Diddy would be facing potential dangers because a prison, by virtue of it being a prison, is not necessarily a good place to be. It's not a safe place to be, but particularly this facility is known to have a lot of problems in the last few years.
What would it look like for Diddy in this protective care unit, I guess? He's separated from general population, but what is his day-to-day like?
So Diddy's life in the SHU, in that specialized housing unit where he's been placed for his own safety, is going to be something that's rather routine and mundane. He's not going to be necessarily even enjoying some of the things that general population, aka Gen Pop, enjoys, because he's being in a special segregated unit for his own safety, which means he's going to be under more constant observation by guards. His comings and goings in and out of his cell for recreational time and for meal time are going to be more scrutinized. So although the SHU unit is technically for the prison inmate's safety, and of course Diddy being a high-profile inmate requires that, it also means more restrictions for that inmate.
Following Diddy's arrest, we reported news that he was placed on suicide watch. It's unclear whether he was actually suicidal or if this was just a safety precaution, but we do know a mental health professional visits his cell at least several times a day. Is that possible for Diddy? He may not have these suicidal ideations, but it's just for his safety?
It's pretty routine, especially for a high-profile inmate to be placed on suicide watch, especially when they're going from a dramatic change from their life outside prison to a life inside prison, something that they may not be used to. It's typical and routine for an inmate like that to be placed on suicide watch for their own safety, and the prison kind of wants to make sure that, you know, when all eyes are on them, that nothing happens on their watch. So we do know that Diddy's lawyers did say that he's ready and willing to fight the charges and ready to fight the allegations against him, and he's of sound mind. So it doesn't surprise me that he's placed on suicide watch by corrections simply for his own safety and in order for the prison to sort of CYA.
So we're talking about this case simply because Diddy is a huge celebrity, a high-profile defendant who's now placed behind bars, a far cry from the mansions that we're used to seeing him in. What are some of the issues with having a high-profile defendant? Does it make things more dangerous, more difficult? What do you think?
Well, being high profile in prison, based on knowledge from some of my own clients, is somewhat worrying for them, especially when they are coming from an environment which was a polar opposite from what they are experiencing in prison. So it's a shock. It's frightening. And of course, they have to deal with the real reality now that they are behind bars and they're facing criminal charges. It also presents a added sort of hurdle for us as attorneys who are defending a client like that, because we are obviously cognizant of the big change in their life that they're dealing with psychologically, and then also obviously the legal aspects of things, but also the court of public opinion. You are constantly looking at how the public is receiving your client or a defendant when they are high profile, and you are sort of tending to their needs because now they are dealing with such a dramatic change in their life. They went from mansion to prison, and sometimes that's a hurdle along with the legal fight all its own.
And then there's the question of Diddy's communication. Who's he making contact with from the inside? So Diddy has pleaded not guilty to these charges, so of course we're expecting him to bring a strong defense with his attorneys, his team. Obviously they're going to be preparing, but does it add a layer of challenge, the fact that Diddy is behind bars? What does it look like for attorneys hoping to meet with him? Would they have their own rooms? Would they talk over those phone things we see in movies? What would it really look like?
See right here, Diddy is about to be hit with lawsuits for the SA and abuse. And a Houston-based law firm representing over 50 accusers is telling some of their stories for the very first time. The attorney for these 50 accusers, Tony Busby, is holding a press conference today at 1 p.m. in Houston, where his firm will reveal new allegations against the goddamn diddler.
For each, we ask for corroboration.
Ew.
For each,
Really?
we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures,
You couldn't get her to say
videos,
yes?
texts. We check venues, we check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense. We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy.
Yo, they got the 1-800 number up right here.
Many times it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly.
Randy was trying to do this for you.
I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive. But it is what it is.
When they tried, y'all
so we
remember
will press on.
It is absolutely crazy to me that there is a phone number listed for a class action lawsuit. Just the amount of people, even outside the legitimate claims, all of the people with mental health problems are calling in.
As I said,
they got a lot of ish to sort through.
Uncomfortable. He never did anything.
Damn.
But I felt like he wanted to. I just didn't. Nothing happened, but I know he wanted.
Wait, hold up. I'm about to call this number.
It is evenly divided between males and females.
Ew.
There's 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs.
That is so crazy.
In this group,
you got to be way more attractive than that,
identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida.
She looked way better than Brandy, though. Way better.
We're going to call.
That's not good.
All right. It's busy.
I want to focus on the ages of these victims. When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. The youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old.
What?
We have an individual who was 14 years old.
Oh, no.
Who was 15.
Usher and Justin Bieber.
Of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024.
9 years old.
Why there are so many alleged victims? That's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time.
Really?
Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago.
Let me try to call again.
And you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward. I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties,
freakoffs,
Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they called a puppy party, the all-white party, although several of these events occurred at auditions. Many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs. You should know that more than 55% of the victims filed reports, reported this conduct.
You lying.
Either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals.
55% reported what happened to them from
And
Diddy.
they didn't,
no one knew anything that was going on.
Good Lord.
That is crazy. Just think about how ridiculous of a control that you have to have on different players within the industry. This is some this is way worse than Epstein.
Process of collecting.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Medical records.
And here's the thing, because there's a lot of people going back and forth regarding all these people that's going to be coming out. And yes, when someone gets found guilty, there's going to be some people that's going to be dogpiling off from a monetary perspective. But even if he's just guilty of one of these things, and here's the thing, after watching that Cassie video of the way, not just that he was defending himself from a chick, but the way that he beat her down. Dudes that can do shit like that are capable of anything. Yes, I absolutely believe dudes that do shit like that are capable of touching children too.
Made to the authorities, and I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI. You should know that, several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did in fact seek medical treatment, were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called
Scolopamine?
xylazine, or trank.
Trank.
Which, based on our research, is known as a horse tranquilizer.
What?
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these
Hollywood is
for
terrified.
this case. We're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that.
Understandable.
But the names
At least
that
they
we're
get the
going to name,
evidence and
assuming that
don't try to lie.
our investigators confirm
like,
and corroborate
the
what we've been
Slovakians
told,
do.
are names that will shock
That
you.
country is just
These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed.
But I believe in
We
karma.
already know who they are.
Yeah.
And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing.
People was watching?
And I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it,
Never
egged it
was a
on. They know who they are.
I wonder if this also implicates people who are coming
They
out
know
now
who
and
they
they're
are.
saying things about Diddy, such as like a Gene Deal, who a lot of people give him flack, and a criticism is like, why are you going to come out 20 years later and to talk about these different things? Because you were there when you saw the bullshit happening.
It's very hard to come forward.
Yeah, that's why I got out.
Oh.
And
I got
We got through for a second.
I ran.
what we've experienced
He was like, "Oh,
the past 10
you
days
shouldn't have ran on
is
him."
really unprecedented
Yeah,
in my career, at least. We represent thousands of survivors of abuse. And never,
Calling a Diddy hotline.
ever in a 10-day period,
Keeps cutting off.
have we seen over 3,000 people come forward.
Homie really needed me to be around for that Rico case. He really needed me to go down for that shit.
That is so crazy. Let's say 90% of them are just looking for money.
Never.
Calling a Diddy hotline.
Ever in a 10-day period.
Keeps cutting off.
Have we seen over 3,000 people come forward?
3,000.
Or we've
3,000? That is so crazy. Let's say 90% of them are just looking for money. That's still 300.
Yeah.
confirmed and decided to investigate and represent 120 people while we're continuing to work through another 100 plus cases to prove them up, to validate what had happened here, and to hold those that are responsible accountable. And so like Tony said, we've set this up. 1-800-200-7474. I have a team of people standing by literally. If you know that this happened to someone and you have information about it, please contact us. If this happened to you, come forward. There's attorney-client privilege here. What you tell us is in confidence. Yes, we'll have to go out and build your case.
By the way, guys, if you cannot hear what's going on, the issue is that it's left side hearing only. Don't blame me. It's their audio on their live stream. Okay? Turn up on your left side.
Case.
Okay, so if I call this hotline, like, I don't want to call it a hotline because I'm a dude and it's weird, but we're going to call it a hotline anyway.
Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. Thank you for calling the Sean P. Diddy Combs Abuse Helpline. This call is being recorded. We understand the strength and courage it takes to come forward. Any information you provide will be kept completely confidential. We expect full honesty in order to properly assist you with your potential case. By staying on the line, you agree to provide accurate information to the best of your knowledge under penalty of perjury. Please hold for the next available representative.
Yeah, I ain't not trying to go back. Not. I was going to tell him, look, I was in the music video. Something's got to be something with Mace. Maybe welcome back. That was no weirdness in that one. He got a whole hotline, bro.
And the other thing that I want to say is the pattern and practice of this, again, is unprecedented. Over 30 plus years of the same sort of events happening, people thrust into the circle reportedly, and horrible things happening to them as a result. And from talking to these people that have come forward these past 10 days, I can tell you unequivocally that because the federal government did what it needed to do and indicted this man, that they put him in jail and a judge kept him in jail, they tell me directly, this validates my feelings. For so long, I thought it was my fault. What is it about me that put myself in that scenario? What was I wearing at the time? What did I do to be subjected to such horrific treatment at these people that I was trying to trust? Well, we know now it was not your fault. You were victimized by a group of powerful people that operated for 30 plus years, taking advantage of their wealth and the power that they held within the music industry. So again,
I like the first guy who comes on with like logical statements. Between the victim advocate, the woman over here, and this guy, what essentially that they're trying to do is they're trying, because think about the whole thing. They have the Diddy hotline, the Diddler hotline is right here. Call me now if you've come into contact with Diddy because you might be entitled to compensation. But these two, what they're doing is that this is a sales pitch. This is a sales pitch to anybody that has ever had some type of connection to Diddy. And I don't like when they do this because this is convincing people. Now, when I say this, do understand, I think Diddy is guilty as sin. I'm saying that right now.
He's guilty.
But I do think that when they do this, it convinces people that they were a victim of something. Because the human mind is a weird bastard. What we can tend to do for our own self-preservation and our own defense is to forget how we were accountable in a situation. So this is like lawyers just being lawyers right now. They're making an emotional sales pitch. Now, again, I think Diddy's a piece of shit, and he's guilty of some shit.
Diddy's a horrible
and he's going to
person.
go to jail for life.
Diddy's not.
But do I think all 150 people that's going to be coming through is going to be truthful?
A lot of lies.
Absolutely not.
Person that's come forward and contacted our office over the past 10 days. If you or someone you know suffered the same sort of treatment, please contact us at the number behind me, and we will help.
It's a sales pitch.
Thank you.
I think it speaks to how important this issue is in the United States and frankly internationally, that we have reputable people here that want to provide kind of information that I think victims need to hear, witnesses need to hear, the public needs to hear. Let me introduce to you now Olivia Rivers.
While all that was super crazy, there's somebody who more than likely will be implicated in these current list of allegations. And that person is none other than Usher.
And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year. It was curious. I got a chance to see some things. It was pretty wild.
We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like? I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. It was pretty wild. There were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand.
We was fighting, we were tussling. More than often, I think Puffy would say, man, you gotta chill. Like, you're just a little bit too intense. You know, you gotta relax. Like, yo, man, I'm here to work, man. I ain't sang in a week. I mean, I'm 13 years old. I'm not here to party with you. I don't want to go to the clubs. Matter of fact, I'm too young to even be in here. Why you got me in clubs? There were a lot of things I seen and a lot of positions that I think I was put in where I had to make very, very tough decisions in my life about who I would be.
New York is a little bit too fast for me, you know, and I spent like a year here.
What a life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
He was put in a lot of positions that made him have to figure out who he really was. Scary words were never said.
Hell no.
I was so mesmerized, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was just so blown away by the stamina, the fucking connection, being able to be connected that long, so much shit. You have so much, motherfuckers ain't doing all this shit out here. All those dance numbers and all that. Take your time with it. Breathe it in. Yeah, they yours when you go see this for you. This ain't for nobody else but you. You take that time, boy.
That's all well and good, man. You walk around behind me again, bro. I'll punch you in your face. Snatch your chains.
You in the kitchen.
What'd you say?
Eating all my cereal. Man, you doing babies in a pink suit. God is the greatest. Won't he do it? Won't he will? Won't he will? Won't he will?
And when they come out with this other stuff, he gonna come back to work. I wouldn't be surprised if he do the ultimate sin. Because bruh, he's such a narcissistic that he couldn't stand not being somewhere and not being seen. His whole life, his whole career was about him being seen in the public. It was about him, taking everybody else's dreams.
That's not how that works.
And making them his.
That's not how that works.
And now, him nor his kids would profit from anything from Bad Boy or Sean Puffy Combs again.
Just don't take dudes' cheeks.
His kids is gonna suffer behind this.
Don't hit females and don't.
Man, that's crazy to hear,
dudes.
man. And you knowing Diddy, you think it's a good chance he might take his life?
He was talking about taking his life at the City College thing. Yo, D-Ferg, ASAP Ferg's father, say, yo, man, we gotta watch him, man. This nigga talking about killing himself. I said, so let him.
Yeah, I get his car.
If you're that weak, I said, let him. And he said, Eugene, why you said that? I said, man, listen to me, man. He ain't no good to nobody if he talking about hurting himself. His life don't belong to him. His life belong to God. What he should be trying to do right now is work his way towards God now, for real, and not that devil he been worshiping. Mentioned other people platforms, but he got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything. You know what I'm saying? About the business, right? I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that groomed you, you gonna give him a pass? Bruh, you know I know. Let me
Usher has always come off to me as playing both sides of the fence. But you know what I mean? Again, you know, I can't speak on stuff like that, bro. Like Usher's beloved. I love his music. 8701 changed my life.
Frame you on something. Remember Usher? We was at the Swiss Hotel. Puff had Kim in the room.
Kim Porter.
Had one of Keith Sweat's baby mothers in the big room outside the master bedroom.
Yeah, these folks ain't Lord.
He came outside in his robe. He came outside in his robe. She gave him a fellatio right there. His back was turned to me. She gave him a fellatio.
I don't know about all that.
You knocked on the door. I came and opened the door for you.
I'm not gonna tell this story.
Puff went in the room.
Or that story.
You came in the room and kissed that girl dead in her mouth.
Hell no, I didn't. That never happened.
Now I'm telling that because you taking up for somebody that you know and a lot of more people know didn't do you right when you was at Diddy camp.
Usher, how you been, man? I've been seeing you so long.
How much did we drink?
I die, I want my last words to be, I did it.
Oh, okay. Here, Lala.
Okay.
Fresh off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, just back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes, you know what I'm saying, before pause was invented, you know what I'm saying, but it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What? Kevin Hart just saved him. Really good. Good job, Kevin Hart. Good job, bro.
the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid. Listen,
having a good time.
your Usher made it in the. Hey yo.
Trey Songz.
Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute.
Terrible.
And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours.
The diddler. I believe
Think
that.
about that.
I believe all that, yeah.
He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first.
Yeah.
Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory.
A little.
And then Usher came in.
Kept looking predatory.
And discovered it and managed him and got
Why you ain't
custody
talking to me,
of him
Playboy?
and promised to look after
Why you
him.
ain't picking my calls,
And then he
Playboy?
sent him to the diddler.
You ain't being reciprocating,
Does that sound like a good
Playboy.
guy?
Yeah. Put my number in.
Does
Yeah.
that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like.
Still love his music.
They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come in LA. Yeah, this gonna be yours. So every time you come in LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, I'm gonna get the front shot of this.
This is Dome. Justin Dome.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, you come down there, you gotta, you know, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right,
No.
16.
You're not ready.
16.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down, Josh.
Okay.
Let's slow down.
One
Okay.
step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when when you get 16. You good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And then when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay. I get the mansion.
Yeah.
So where are we off to now?
Where would you like to go?
I mean, wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Disgusting.
I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
No.
I'm going crazy.
No.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go get some girls.
Man.
You heard what Papa don't hit me no more. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. All you heard was Papa don't hit me no more. Let's go. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Hey, yeah.
Who's the worst celebrity that you've been around and is the most full of sin? I know no sin is greater, but just was damn, this
Clive Davis. Devil incarnate. Clive Davis. He Janis Joplin. He blackmailed Betty Wright so she wouldn't tell anybody that he Janis Joplin. He killed Whitney Houston.
Claims his ex account got hacked after his former mentor, Sean Diddy Combs, was arrested and charged with sex trafficking. Account got hacked and damn, y'all ran with it. See you tonight at Intuit Dome, the singer wrote on the platform ahead of his show in Inglewood, California. Usher shared the message after fans noticed that past tweets from his account had mysteriously disappeared over the weekend. The only tweets on his page appeared to be from hackers writing about cryptocurrency scams. It's unclear who allegedly hacked Usher's account, but a number of other celebrities such as Pink and Megan Fox were also seemingly hacked on X.
However, many fans brought up the timing of it all, as Usher's been making headlines since Diddy's recent arrest. The two have been close friends for nearly 3 decades, ever since Usher began living and working with him as a teenager. Usher has not been legally connected with any of Diddy's alleged crimes. However, he has alluded to seeing some things while partying with the rapper in several interviews that have resurfaced, such as the one with Howard Stern in 2016.
You describe it as when Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it.
Usher has yet to directly address his mentor's latest arrests.
Motherfuckers be gay in Hollywood, you never fucking expected. They be having these big-ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a motherfucker to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room and shit. Nigga, come here. Come here. Is that 2 niggas kissing?
You don't want to see me get vexed. Boss on your phone, tell them man you can't jack the big.
Federal prosecutors just got another win in their case against P. Diddy when a male escort reportedly handed over a sex tape showing one of Diddy's alleged freakoffs. It's these freakoffs that are at the center of the federal indictment against Diddy. And now, prosecutors have even more digital evidence against him. But what does this alleged sex tape mean for the prosecution? Could even more tapes come out as we await trial? We'll hear from former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani about this and so much more. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. P. Diddy, Diddy, Puffy, Puff Daddy, there are a number of monikers you could call 54-year-old Sean Combs, the once beloved music icon and entrepreneur. But more recently, he's been known as an alleged sexual predator after a series of civil suits, federal raids, and ultimately his arrest. Diddy was indicted by a grand jury on September 16th on charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. In the indictment, prosecutors allege Diddy is guilty of sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The indictment goes on to allege Diddy showed a pattern of abuse, mostly against women, including verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, including the use of extensive grooming tactics. There's only one survivor mentioned in the indictment, though, identified as victim 1, so we don't know for sure their real identity. But it's very possible that victim 1 is Cassandra Ventura, Diddy's ex, who you probably know as the singer Cassie. She's the first one that put pen to paper in terms of allegations against Diddy, filing a scathing lawsuit last November. Cassie laid out a series of accusations against Diddy, saying over the course of their relationship, he physically beat her, emotionally controlled her, and sexually assaulted her. She also alleges Diddy forced her to have sex with prostitutes and recorded it. Let's be real. I know you're multitasking when you're listening to this video, and if you're out running errands, listen up. I have to tell you about the free app Upside. It paved the way for multiple other accusers to come forward. Since last November, Diddy's been listed as a defendant in 11 civil suits. Like Cassie, producer Rodney Jones, known professionally as Lil Rod, also accused Diddy of sexual assault. He alleges Diddy drugged him and forced Lil Rod to have sex with a prostitute. On top of that, Lil Rod says his accusations can be corroborated with...
Terrifying. One should always be able to choose what the hue of who they do. We're going to edit that out.
Hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings showing Diddy and his associates engaging in some serious illegal activity. The indictment also mentions recordings, saying that when the federal raids were executed on Diddy's homes back in March, investigators collected electronic evidence for their case. The indictment also notes investigators collected 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube, which really puts into perspective the severity and scope of these so-called freakoffs. According to the indictment, these freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. During these sessions, Diddy would force victims to use drugs, have sex with prostitutes, and be recorded doing all this, sometimes without their knowledge. Again, all this was heard before Diddy's federal charges in multiple civil suits brought by survivors. But back to the indictment.
Nobody knew what was happening.
Prosecutors alleged Diddy completed these freak-offs with the help of his associates working for the Combs enterprise. Not only would these associates help suppress the victims, but they also arranged the freak-offs by booking hotel rooms and stocking these rooms with required freak-off necessities like baby oil or personal lubricant.
The hell is that?
These associates would also procure sex
Three
workers
of the
and
four members of
IVs
B2K
that were given to both Combs and the victims after these freak-off sessions to help them recover from the physical exertion and drug use. As part of all this, Diddy and his associates transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. One such sex worker, an unidentified male, says Diddy flew him from Atlanta to Miami for a freak-off just last year. The male escort's name has not been revealed publicly, but according to TMZ, he spoke with federal prosecutors in New York on September 25th. He reportedly signed a proffer agreement and then divulged key information to prosecutors about this freak-off. He says it happened in May 2023, and it involved himself, Diddy, and another woman. The escort says he had sex with the woman while Diddy watched and recorded. And apparently, the escort says he has a copy of this recording, and now so do federal prosecutors. Since news of these freak-offs broke, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has addressed these allegations, saying that they were just threesomes by consenting adults. But is that what the electronic evidence will show? And how vital is this sex tape for the prosecution? Here's where we bring in former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. I wanted to speak to you specifically today as a former federal prosecutor because there's some news in the way of the prosecution in this case. Apparently, a male escort has come forward to the prosecution in Diddy's case with a sex tape talking about these freak-offs. What do you think would have compelled him to come forward right now?
Well, the fact that Diddy is now in... Recently, I've reclaimed my virginity. Thank God I have, because...
custody and won't be released pending trial may
Tyrone
have
Couple
motivated
can't do
other
real
people to come
news.
forward who
I'll tell
may
you
have
that.
been worried for their
Tyrone
safety.
Couple.
And whenever there's a situation like this, it can be victims, it can be a Me Too effect, right? Where there's power in other individuals who have come forward, and it's essentially a domino effect. And you know, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, when he had that press conference, he actually put up a hotline for any individuals who participated in the freak-offs. And the reason why this type of evidence is so damaging for Diddy is you both have a witness and you have a video. And the video doesn't lie. And the irony is that Diddy took these videos apparently to have a leverage over the participants, but now those videos are going to be used against him in a very serious criminal trial.
Yeah,
Talking about
never tape somebody that doesn't know they're being taped.
About this alleged freak-off, the sex tape, and the male escort who actually spoke with federal prosecutors. He signed something called a proffer agreement. Can you explain what that is to me?
A proffer agreement means that an individual is going to come to the U.S. Attorney's Office, sit down with prosecutors, and have a conversation. And anything that the person who's proffering says can't be used against them. So it's a protection for the person who is proffering. Now, in this case, here's someone who's admitting to engaging in prostitution. So the lawyer for the commercial sex workers certainly wouldn't want
That's not prostitution.
the proffer to be prosecuted based on those
No, that's
admissions.
not.
Sometimes it's also called queen for a day. Essentially means that whatever you tell prosecutors can't be used against you.
No, man, that's diplomatic immunity, bitch.
Prosecutors would agree to it
No, queen
because
for a
they
day,
believe
don't lie to
the
us.
information that this man has is worth it to use in their case
I don't know
against
why,
Diddy.
but I don't trust that guy.
Routine because you want to encourage people to come
Would not
forward
trust this man
without
in a
fear
room
that
alone.
their
I would
statements
not.
will be used against them.
Y'all would open the
Obviously,
door.
The sex worker in this
They
case
would
is not
have
part
to
of
bring
the
a white sheet in or
investigation,
something and have to put him onto
Apparently
a.
it's going to be a
He would be
witness.
okay.
So not someone
You know,
the
he'd be
defense is gonna go
he'd be
after.
fine. You
So
just have to put him
they
on the
wanna make
girt,
sure
like
that the witnesses
drag him
know
out.
that if they say something that is incriminating, that's not going to be the basis for a criminal prosecution. Now, if they find out information or evidence outside the proffer session they can use that against the person who's cooperating, but nothing that's said in the proffer itself.
What are investigators really doing? Looking through this video,
Man,
obviously
hey, man, you ain't gotta look at us like that, man. Tyrone Couple ain't with that, bro,
Well,
man.
first you have to establish a chain of custody.
But not
right?
so
the
that, you know what I
video is
mean?
accurate.
Like,
you know, how would the sex worker have it even, right? If these are videos
Yeah,
that
he
were taken
working.
by Diddy himself.
Let the, you know
how
what I
did you
mean?
come to have possession of this?
Hell no. Oh,
Emailed to you? Was it airdropped to you?
Come on, man.
Did you take the video? So the authentication, the chain of custody, that's very important. And then, of course, they're going to analyze the video to see what's in there. Now, Diddy's lawyers have apparently responded to this video, and they've said that this is consistent with what Diddy said the whole time, that he would engage in these threesomes. It wasn't an orgy, but it would be a threesome with a male sex worker and a female companion, and Diddy would watch and he would masturbate, apparently. So it's also consistent with some of the things that Cassie Ventura said. Now, of course, Cassie said that it was forced and she was raped and she was compelled to do this, and that's what makes it trafficking. Diddy, of course, is saying that this is all consensual, but I think those are the steps. The first is just the foundation,
got out of there.
piece, and then
Hey,
really what is
I
the
saw
video
this coming.
showing? Does it support?
That's why I
an
got up
argument
out of there
that's
with the people I was
consensual,
running with.
or
I
does
was
it
like, bro,
support that
he was
force,
trying to
that coercion, which would make
do
it
this,
trafficking.
and
Here's where things get really
I was
tricky,
like, nah, you
because
know what?
as you said, Diddy is going to
I'm
say,
blind,
hey,
I'm
this was
out, I don't
consensual.
know.
They were into it, I was into
See
it.
no
But we've heard
evil.
in 11 civil suits and now a federal indictment
Here-
that
yeah.
it wasn't consensual. A lot of
Ugh.
these survivors were forced to
No,
partake in these
that's-
freakoffs.
that's awful.
So how will each side go about proving it was consensual or it wasn't?
That's going to be the key question in the case. The case will come down entirely to consent or not. So the government has the burden, of course. They're going to have to show that this wasn't consensual. So obviously, if there's something that's
That
said
sucks.
or done in the videos that shows force or coercion, that's game over for Diddy. If it doesn't, then the question is the victims are going to have to testify. And like you said,
oh,
there's
yeah, he's
8, 9,
screwed.
10 victims now who filed civil lawsuits.
Yep, he's screwed.
You know, how compelling is their testimony?
It's over.
I would argue,
It's
as a former
over.
prosecutor, that's a very
It's over.
compelling,
He's done.
because even if you don't believe one victim or two victims, because you buy the argument that they're trying to shake Diddy down and get money from Combs as part of these civil lawsuits, that this is all motivated by greed and it's fabricated, it's very hard to disbelieve the testimony of victim after victim.
Yeah,
it's telling
he's
essentially the
done.
same story.
It's over.
So there may be texts, there may be other communications as well that would come in. So
Is that
that
Cassie?
is the entire case as far as the U.S. Attorney's Office is concerned,
'Cause-
showing that coercion, that force, because this isn't the type of case that they would have just brought just to prove the prostitution counts, because obviously prostitution
Tyrone
is
Couple
illegal.
ain't forcing
Prostitution is
shit.
consensual, but there's a
Please
commercial
go.
component, right?
I will help
But that would be a huge
the
loss
fuck-
for the government if they only prevailed. on
You know how many
prostitution
holes
counts,
Tyrone Couple has
and the
thrown
jury
out
thought
of his
this was
car?
consensual, but it was
Not
just
like by
A
force.
lot of people are talking about witness testimony and kind of
Two of
speculating
them by-
that Cassie
by,
could be a star witness for the prosecution.
You know what I mean?
But we have Cassie's lawsuit
their own
and
account,
then 10 others,
you know?
accusers who've come forward. So kind of a significant
They were
number
talking that
there.
guff.
However, in
Talking
the
that
federal
smack.
indictment, there's only one victim.
Why didn't throw him out of a
listed as
moving
victim
vehicle?
one.
You know what I mean? That's
Why
important.
may that be that the feds
I
didn't
pulled
include
over at a bus
additional
stop.
victims? And I guess
And let
another
these
question
disagreeable
in regards
hoes
to
out.
that, would they be calling more than one of these survivors?
Sierra, I have to admit, I was surprised. We've been talking.
Only after they let me know countless of times that they didn't want to be there and they could be somewhere else. I'm like, oh, word? You know what I mean? Like we be heading to Cheesecake Factory and she be talking, oh, word? Yeah, God, hold on now. Let Tyrone Couple got you. Here you go. Go ahead and open up your door, take off your own seatbelt. That way, go ahead and close the door back. Oh, you're gonna slam, that's fine. All right, well, have a nice night. Tyrone Couple, I'm telling you, bro.
About this
Works
case
every time.
for many months. And the raid of Diddy's homes 6 months ago, as Los Angeles and Miami homes, I expected a very broad, sprawling indictment, naming lots of people, lots of victims. And like you said, the indictment really only identifies one victim. It's clear that it's Cassie Ventura based on the description of that victim. So the question is, Are they not sure about other victims? What's taking so long in terms of
look at the bright side, you know what I'm saying?
getting their
At least
ducks
he
in
didn't have to
order
go
to move
online
forward? Because
and
certainly,
delete
although
Cassie's
by far and away
age
the most important victim
off of
given
all the
the
celebrities'
length of her
birthday.
relationship with Combs,
Like a
I would
certain
expect that the prosecution is
person
gonna want many
whose
more
name
people to
starts
come
with
testify,
C
why weren't those
and ends
necessarily
with
named in the
Z.
indictment?
He deleted all of her stuff
What
offline.
about
You can't
this
even
sex
find
worker
her.
who's
I
recently
dare
come
some of you
forward
to
just
find
this
her age.
week to talk about these freak-offs? Do
Why?
you think he could be called to testify
Because
too?
No
she
question.
was far
Anyone who
too
was a participant or a witness of the freak-offs
small,
absolutely maybe called as a witness
you know
by
what I
either
mean?
side. If the government
You know, the
believes that
number
someone's gonna
wise,
prove that
for her
force
to
fought
be
coercion,
in
then
any
they're gonna
of
be a government witness.
the stuff that you
And
know.
if
But I
Diddy's
mean,
lawyers, and I'm sure they're gonna have witnesses of their own, believe that the sex workers are gonna come testify that this was paid but consensual, you better believe that that person is gonna be on the defense's witness list. And I'm sure there's gonna be some witnesses on both sides. Because
y'all like it, I love it.
The vast majority of people have spoken out against Diddy and against this violence. There have been
I
a
thought
small
that was
number
Toby
of people
Maguire in the background. Is that Ellen DeGeneres?
Him to say that
She look
I never
good.
experienced this side of Combs.
But I'm wondering about the electronic evidence.
Ellen
these
DeGeneres
sex
got good
tapes and
posture.
the freak-offs. Obviously, they're very intimate. It's people having sex, potentially against their own will. Is this something that would be shown in
That
court?
does not sound
It would be shown in
attractive.
court. Now, obviously, this trial isn't televised, so it's
Tyrone
not going to
Campbell
run
does
on
not.
time. But
I'd have to go. I'd
it
leave.
would
I
be
ain't.
shown in court if it were televised. Obviously,
Tyrone Campbell ain't
those
about to sit
portions
back
would
and
not
watch
be
nobody
televised.
else
But
get they.
absolutely, it could be
You know what I mean?
something,
Get where they trying to get to.
lewd, it could be
You know what
something
I'm saying?
pornographic. It's still
Gotta hurt in the
evidence, and it's
background.
still gonna be
Yep,
shown
I
to the
ain't-
jury. So
They on their
there's no
own.
really- there's no exception.
Tyrone Campbell, and I go the other way.
evidence
I'm
not
not.
coming in because of its lewd
More
I guess
than
that
11.
leads into my next question.
I'm
As
out.
the
Bye.
prosecution is obviously interviewing some of these survivors in the case, talking about what happened to them, how are they going to prepare these witnesses for reliving this really traumatic event or events in their life, potentially even watching themselves on the screen be abused? How do you prepare for that?
The best way to prepare a witness and a community victim
I'm not gonna
or
say
any
what I
type
was
of
gonna
witness
say.
is actually put them through a mock
Tyrone Campbell's not
cross-examination.
gonna
We
say what he
know
was about to
that
say.
these lawyers are going to be very aggressive. They're going to argue that this is all fabricated. This is all made up. The sex happened, but it was all consensual. So they're going to go after these witnesses and call them liars. So oftentimes what will happen is you'll have one of the prosecutors, they'll play the role
Some
of
stuff
the
started going
defense
down. Oh,
attorney,
word.
and they'll do a cross-examination
More than
just
11.
to prepare the witness for what they may expect when they actually testify live before a jury.
What about Diddy's side of things? Recently, we've heard from his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, who said, hey, Diddy wants to go on the stand. He wants to tell his own story. Do you think that's likely that P. Diddy himself would come up and talk on the stand?
Defense lawyers say all sorts of things, and I did hear that. I would be very surprised because talking about cross-examination, that cross-examination would be brutal. Diddy has a history of alleged violence. Some of it is pretty clear. The 2016 Cassie video, of course, was very graphic, very disturbing.
That's really
And I
disturbing.
think Diddy will get
Very
torn
graphic.
up on cross-examination.
I
It's very
don't
risky.
understand
Put a defendant on
why-
the stand. The entire
how he
case
could-
would usually come down to his.
How he could be that
testimony.
rich
I don't think
and
the
that
defense
foolish.
is going to do that.
How
It's
do you
gonna be
get that rich
gamesmanship. Some of this
and
can be
still
PR from her.
be doing that
team
type of
trying
stuff?
to get out ahead of all the bad press. Just like the defense said that Diddy bought his 1,000 bottles of lube from Costco because he'd like to buy in bulk. I would, take everything a criminal defense attorney in this case says with a grain of salt.
Circling back to this new information we have from this male escort, he says that it happened in May of 2023, so just a little over a year ago. And the indictment itself lists a pattern of alleged abuse, all at the hands of Diddy, dating back to 2009. Obviously, we know other lawsuits go way back to the 90s, but according to this federal indictment, 2009. And now we have something bringing us into 1 year ago. Is that helpful for the prosecution to show it was recent?
Sierra, it's very helpful because you don't want claims that are barred by the statute of limitations. So under RICO and most
Oh my God,
federal
Rico! I told
laws,
you.
there's a 5-year statute of limitations.
Trying to build
Now,
a-
sex trafficking no
They was
longer
trying-
has
they
a
was trying to
statute,
make me
but
look
it
like I
did
was that.
earlier, and you can't
Oh,
make those changes
and then people were
retroactive.
like, well, why did
So
you run?
a 5-year statute.
Why did you get,
goes
bro?
into
I
place. You
ain't-
need one
now-
predicate act within the 5 years.
That's
now,
all y'all,
once you have
baby.
that, you can go back another 10
Huh?
years. You get a second predicate.
That's a
act.
road you
So,
travel alone.
the example I like to give is obviously it would be a state charge, but the statute of limitations for the 2016 beating of Cassie Ventura at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, that's run. Prosecutors can't file charges on that unless they can show some sort of tolling or some reason why the statute should otherwise not have run because of a cover-up, but that's very difficult to prove. So what prosecutors are going to want to do is get as much conduct that is not barred by the statute into the indictment. Now, one important thing about RICO is predicate acts can be state crimes. They can also be crimes that are no longer within the statute of limitations. So that's a really powerful thing.
You got to get out of that.
It brings a lot of charges, it brings a lot of evidence in that you might not necessarily be able to charge individually.
Do you think that before this case would head to trial, that prosecutors are going to get a couple more calls, maybe even some more video showing these freak-offs?
Absolutely. And even when I prosecute sexual assault, sexual harassment cases, oftentimes harassers, abusers, they're not abusing just one person. There's lots and lots of victims. So we'll file a civil lawsuit. And just like Cassie's case, even though it settled the very next day, was really a motivating factor for so many others to come forward, because there is this psychology of an abuse victim. You know, they don't want to relive that trauma. They certainly don't want to testify in a very public way at a trial that's going to get national and international attention.
Yeah,
more
especially if
forward,
everything they're saying
does give those victims,
might
those
not
strength.
be.
So absolutely, yeah.
I 100% believe he's guilty, but do I believe he's guilty of 120 of the people? No. But at least 40%, at least. Still awful. You know what I'm saying? But the extra ones on top of there, they trying to, hey, look, I was there, you know what I mean? I drank a sandwich and I woke up the next day. Anything could have happened, you know? You gotta be careful of that. Cause, you know what I mean?
As Sierra, I do expect others to come forward before trial.
Following Diddy's arrest last week, he pleaded not guilty, and his attorney Mark Agnifilo released a statement. It reads in part, quote, "Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the Black community. He is an imperfect person, but is not criminal." To his credit, Mr. Combs has been nothing but cooperative with this.
Nah. After we watched the video of him hitting Cassie, nah, bruh. You can't do that no more, bruh. You can't be beating females and then go out and then be like, I'm not this type of person, bruh. I know people that do that. And every time you see one of them, they have the most punchable faces.
Investigation, and he voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. Please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are the acts of an innocent man with nothing to hide. He looks forward to clearing his name in court. For now, Diddy is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He's expected back in court on October.
100% innocent. And with that being said, all the stuff I talked about in this video, it's a secret between us. You know, there's a character I'm trying out. You know, Tyrone Koppel.
The shits. Diddy has done lots of horrible things to apparently lots and lots and lots of people. There's a lot of lube.
I mean, there's a Costco right down the street. You know, I think Americans buy in bulk, as we know. And you know, this is consensual adults doing what consensual adults do.
There's insane crimes, all of them committed by Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy.
I myself has never used baby oil on a chick. Sounds like a very, very creative way to get a yeast infection.
The big accusation against Diddy was by his ex Cassie on November 16th, 2023. Cassie is a singer who is insanely popular in the early 2000s.
So long, I'm here to answer your call.
And she alleged that Diddy was responsible for R-wording and abusing her over the course of their relationship.
R&B singer Cassie has accused hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs of and a decade of physical abuse. The two were romantically involved for years, but in a lawsuit made public today, Cassie says there was a pattern of control, drug use, and forced sexual encounters.
She also included allegations of sex trafficking and domestic violence. Just overall, just toss that on there as well, because the dude's a freak. She demanded a settlement of around $30 million, and only a day later, on November 17th, the lawsuit was settled. It's crazy how quickly that lawsuit was resolved after the threats the day before. She also said that she wanted to make a book to air out all of Diddy's dirty laundry. So it's like this whole big, giant domino that's gonna have everything come crashing down. And it has been. But the $30 million settlement did occur, and there were mutual and amicable terms, and the lawsuit was dropped and was completely resolved, with Diddy's team ultimately stating that a resolution of said lawsuit does not mean an admission of guilt. To me, it does. I'm a legal expert, all right? It seems bad, though. It's like, you want to settle? Okay, that's weird. Let's just settle. You know, I'm a freak. And now he's in jail, so it's like, pretty clear.
Overnight, hip-hop mogul Sean Combs settling a bombshell sexual abuse lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend, fellow singer Cassie. Cassandra Ventura writing in a statement, "I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support."
But anyway, still November 2023, fast forward to November 23rd. Diddy is accused yet again of sexual assault by a different woman. This woman was named Joy Dickerson Neal, who accused him of drugging and R-wording her when she was a college student in 1991, so a long time ago. Diddy denied those claims, and another woman, yet again, the same day, accused him of more. This time, sexual assault, and again, Diddy rejects the claims. December 6th rolls around, and another woman accuses Diddy of sexual assault and gang R-word as well, and she states that she was 17 at the time. Diddy, unsurprisingly, denies the claims again, and he makes a video the same day saying, "Enough is enough." He stated that his character has been viciously attacked and that these accusations will destroy his reputation for being a freak pimp, because that's kind of like what his reputation is now. So maybe, I don't know what his reputation was before, but that's what it is now. So we creep forward into 2024, and on February 26th, Diddy was accused again, this time by a record producer. This is the one that we covered in the video. It was a fellow named Lil Rod.
Multiple lawsuits have been filed against Combs, including one by music producer Rodney Jones. Jones alleges sex trafficking and sexual assault, also mentioning underage girls in the 79-page lawsuit. Claims made by Jones include hidden cameras in the rap mogul's home, saying, quote, "Mr. Combs allegedly threatened to eat Mr. Jones's face in order to get what he wants."
One of Diddy's former producers / videographers, this man filed a lawsuit against Diddy stating he was also drugged and sexually harassed.
Producer Lil Rod, whose given name is Rodney Jones, has now accused Sean Diddy Combs of operating a racketeering enterprise, groping him, forcing him to engage in sexual acts with sex workers, and lacing alcohol for the guests in his home, including underage girls.
And this was the straw that seemed to have broken the camel's back. There was some legit action as a result of this that was taken against Diddy. And in March of 2024, Diddy's house was raided by the feds, and there were many people taken into custody.
Breaking news, the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs.
The home was registered to Bad Boy Entertainment and was also registered to one of P. Diddy's daughters. So despite it not being registered to his name directly, it was still associated with him, obviously. This was the Los Angeles mansion in Holmby Hills. His other mansion in Miami was also raided.
Authorities not confirming very much beyond the fact that this is part of an ongoing investigation started by Homeland Security Investigations in the state of New York. Behind me, that is the entrance to Star Island. You can see the Miami Beach police car there at the entrance. If you look to your right, you can see this is where the Homeland Security Investigations are set up with their command post.
I was so excited, dude. I thought he was going to go right to jail, but no. People were saying he left the country and he fled and he went down to Aruba and all this different stuff.
Photos obtained by ABC News capturing Combs' Love Airjet in Antigua. No information about who, if anyone, was on the plane.
I don't know, man. Pretty wild stuff, though. Pretty wild. From what we could gather at the time, the feds that raided his home collected evidence such as electronics and possibly even more, but there wasn't much that the public knew at that time.
And so they're looking for something to corroborate the belief that they have that a crime did occur. And as you pointed out earlier, he's facing multiple allegations of trafficking. So perhaps that is a crime in which they're investigating. Perhaps that is what they're trying to seek more information from. But in order to search a home, you have to have probable cause. The only question is, probable cause of what?
However, later we would find out how horrifying the stuff that they actually found was. And that was just a couple weeks ago when all this came out. And we'll get back to this a little bit later. We're still earlier this year.
New surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week.
As time goes on, things are getting worse for Diddy, and in May of 2024, a video surfaced of Diddy grabbing, hitting, and kicking Cassie, the woman who had accused him all of those years ago of being abusive towards her.
Disturbing video has surfaced appearing to show music mogul Sean Diddy Combs beating his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2016 in Los Angeles.
This is way back in 2023 when she accused him, and the video was originally from 2016 and finally brought to light in 2024, even after a settlement.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
Homie, run it, you motherfucker.
So it showed that the lawsuit that was thrown Diddy's way had genuine substance, and even though we settled there's no admission of guilt, the video of him beating her is, you don't really need an admission of guilt. That's just guilt in the form of video.
Mr. Combs certainly deserves his day in court and the presumption of innocence, but it is hard to deny the behavior that's caught on video and that is making news today.
That being said, that lawsuit had already been settled for hopefully a shit ton of money. And at this point, Diddy's reputation is gone down the gutter thanks to the release of the footage. It's like actual, real, legit evidence that this man is a piece of shit. And it sort of corroborates everything else that people are throwing his way. Diddy was very embarrassed by these poor actions. He went to Instagram to apologize for his poor behavior in some wicker roof. I hate that video. It's so weird. He looks like a demon. I don't like this guy. I don't like Diddy. Diddy, I don't like Diddy. Okay?
My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Then a few months go by and we get to September 2024 when things finally come to light. On September 16th, 2024, Diddy was indicted and arrested in the New York City Manhattan Hotel, or the Manhattan Hotel in New York City. I'm not exactly sure.
This morning, watch how federal agents took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Apparently, Mr. Diddy had been in New York for over 2 weeks, and he stated that he was there to turn himself in, which is like trying to get in the good graces of the judge. Well, Judge, I was staying at the Manhattan Hotel in a pimp suite, and I was just like feeling guilty about all the stuff I had done, so maybe you could let me off with a warning? Because I'm sorry.
As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself. I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is? If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you where he is, but he wants to surrender.
To jail with you. Suicide watch. Kind of odd to wait that long, but he did, and a day earlier he was seen out with his family chilling. Not a care in the world. And now he's gone from a beautiful mansion and the top of the world to jail.
From a life of parties and open bars to life now behind bars. In the past week, P. Diddy has seen some major lifestyle changes. And now we're getting reports that Diddy isn't eating while in jail.
Womp womp. Hey man, sorry, don't give a rot. Easy now. The next day, we finally got to learn what was found at the scene of the crime when the feds raided his homes in Florida and California. The indictment was unsealed September 17th, and mother of God, it is gold. Crazy, crazy gold. Not only did we get to hear the word freakoffs used in an official report, but we also learned what was going on inside of Mr. Didrik's house.
As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy.
Damn!
He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freakoffs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting.
Apparently, there was over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube. 1,000!
According to the indictment against Diddy, investigators seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant from his home. The court doc states these items were used in something referred to as freakoffs, which were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded.
I don't know how that's possible, and we don't have any pictures of this or proof outside of this official document, but there's supposedly a real video of it, and it's definitely AI, 110%. There's 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil. How's that even, what is the point of that? Why do you need so much? What's going on? I don't understand.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
However, one user put 1,000 baby bottles into Blender to give you an idea of what it looks like. It's insane. He even had IV drips to rehydrate people after his Diddy freak-offs. And holy shit, that's crazy. Imagine going so hard in a freak off, you have to get an IV drip to recharge. That's crazy. That's insane, dude. That's insane. These are not the same species of human beings that are us, that are just normal, regular ass people. I know you guys are probably like, well, Opa, you're a really famous YouTuber with a really you got a cool gun and stuff. Dude, no, I'm a regular ass dude. My channel gets 3 strikes. I'm done. Okay. I'm not trying again. It's over. I'm gonna get a job at McCoy's, okay? I'm gonna work at I don't give a I'm not like these people. I hate them. I don't want to be associated in any way. We got a link in the description to the full court document. Here's some snippets on the screen if you guys want to pause and read. The attorney actually mentions the freak-offs, which is pretty good. For the freak-offs, man!
The indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
Diddy, rest in peace, was a true absolute freak. He's not dead right now, but by the time this video comes out, he may have Epsteined himself. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but you know, it's probably gonna happen because there's a lot of people that went to Diddy parties and stuff, and a lot of people who are at risk of losing their careers and livelihoods, et cetera, et cetera. It's like maybe a hazing ritual or something. We've already seen it with Jeffrey Epstein, except it was in the business world and the politician world. This is just Jeffrey Epstein, but in the Hollywood world, Hollyweird world, whatever people call it. I'm not exactly sure, but these people are freaks.
I got people every day saying, you think they're going to Epstein him? And I go, well, I really don't know. But they can't have this guy do a suicide. It would look kind of funny. Now, imagine if somebody got to one of the correctional officers, and this could happen. They don't make a lot of money. And there's people out there that he has things on that do have a substantial amount of money. Imagine if someone paid someone off on the inside to actually poison his food, give him a heart attack, and he dies. And no one would really think anything of it. So that may be one of the reasons he's not eating. He's really, really paranoid. He's really, really scared.
So we know Diddy is a freak and is being charged, but what about all the people who praised and associated with Diddy during these times of yonder past, these past evil times? Celebrities are genuinely panicking after all the details surrounding Diddy's arrest became public and all of the details of the raid surfaced. In 2023 and 2024, people have gotten a great idea and a good insight into how weird and evil P. Diddy is. What a terrible name. It's a nice name. It's like a friendly name. P. Diddy. P. Diddy. You know, it's Diddy. It's like a child. It's like a cartoon character or something. P. Diddy. P. Diddler. Oh, it's P. Diddler now. That's what it is. Okay, that's not good. Very messed up, but there was one specific detail that particularly grabbed the attention of everyone watching the press conference. After discussing the guns found in Diddy's houses, the U.S. attorney says that during the raids, officers obtained evidence of the freak-offs found on numerous electronic devices on the property.
During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freakoffs with multiple victims.
Firstly, in the year 2024, we've got U.S. officials talking about Diddy Party freakoffs, and this immediately sparked new interest in the case of Sean Combs. With the news of video evidence being found of said freakoffs, that means that there's a chance for them to eventually be publicly released or parts of them leaked for the whole world to see. And it's like the Epstein flight logs, dude. I mean, look at the Epstein, show those up here. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of really important people on these that are gonna have to explain themselves. This is a lot of potential for bad PR, as people call it, or just being exposed for being who you actually truly are. I hope we eventually get a glimpse into who attended these freakoffs and who of the Hollywood elite are just as demented as Diddy is and deserve the same exact thing that he got. This is much easier to make videos about than YouTube drama, because it's like, this is a real evil person. This isn't like some weird little echo chamber. This is a guy who a lot of people idolize and look up to, who is surrounded by other people very similar to him that a lot of people idolize and look up to. Not just internet groups, small meaningless shit. Like these are real masters of the universe we're talking about that are going down. This is a different game. This is a much more righteous game, I feel like. Furthermore, after the official statements were released, people began to dive into who could possibly be on the tapes, and celebrities alike began to panic behind the scenes. All of this combined to make the Diddy case full of conspiracies about who could possibly be seen on those freakoff tapes. If you are a Hollywood elite, you are under intense scrutiny, not only by the police, but also by your millions of followers and the people who look up to you, or you know, fans of yours or whatever. They're on to you, freaks. They're on to you, freaks, all right? They're on to you. They're on to you. They're gonna get you. It ain't gonna last much longer. Following the announcement of the tapes, one of the first celebrities to act strange is famous singer Usher. On Sunday, September 22nd, Usher's Twitter account would be completely cleaned, having no posts on it whatsoever. I get it if you want to delete your Twitter or whatever, or something like that. I mean, it makes sense. Twitter's a terrible platform that's brain rot, and I'll probably delete my Twitter one day, but probably for different reasons than Usher. A lot of people immediately started to speculate and see the deletion of Usher's tweets as a admission of guilt, but they returned and he had tweeted, "Account got hacked and y'all ran with it. See you at Intuit Dome," and stuff. He tweeted that. Pretty cool. So I don't really know. I mean, he's closely associated with Diddy, and he mentioned on a Howard Stern talk a couple years ago about how he saw some shit a long time ago. We've shared the clip before, but it's pretty wild. He hung out with Diddy when he was a young man.
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it.
Even though Usher's account appeared to be back to normal, there was still a lot of suspicion, and it appeared suspicious in regard to the whole thing, the racketeering and sex trafficking charges with Diddy, his old boy. Before Usher deleted his tweets, his account had over 7,000 tweets on it, but if you look at the account now, there appears to be 300 tweets missing and deleted. Yo, account got hacked, or whatever.
Account got hacked, all my tweets got deleted, and then 300 of the worst ones are all gone, but most of them are back now.
I don't know. Weird. On top of that, people just don't believe you whenever you say your account got hacked. And like, if your account gets hacked, they're going to tweet something. They're going to tweet like a link to crypto. They're not going to delete all your tweets. That makes no sense. Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense at all. None. Makes none. They like tweet, go to Diddy Coin, buy Diddy Coin, or whatever I don't know. It was also right around the same time all the information with Diddy came out. People on Twitter were expressing their skepticism in regard to the entire event, discussing how odd it is for Usher to just brush his whole account being deleted off and continue as if nothing even occurred, and then saying he got hacked. It is very odd. I'm not saying it's not odd, but it's like really weird. If I was him, I would be like, yo, this guy's evil. I would turn on him, snitch all day. That's what I would do. Because once again, it's no secret that Diddy and Usher were quite close. Usher got his start because Diddy discovered him in the 1990s. In a way, Diddy was Usher's mentor, and he coached him on how to be a star.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, but like just I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying?
It's insane to think about what else he might have coached him in. You know, he was an expert at many things, not just the music industry, but also sex trafficking and racketeering and being a criminal.
Allegedly.
Usher has still yet to address Diddy's arrest. I doubt we'll get to see any of it at any time soon. But following Usher, 2 more artists, Pink and Megan Fox, who's not an artist, I don't think, were put under a lot of scrutiny for deleting their tweets. But they're just completely caught in a Diddy witch hunt, because if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that their tweet deletions are not related. Firstly, Pink has been off Twitter since February 2024. That's when she deleted and privated all of her tweets. In an interview, she stated that she enjoyed staying off Twitter, which makes total sense, and that it wasn't the same anymore, and it just is not good for your mental health, which is based in red pill. I mean, big respect. Go outside and touch grass, losers. Come on. She got caught in the crossfire, though, because she does have some links to Diddy and whatnot. But at the end of the day, how are you not going to have links to Diddy? You're in the world of depravity. You're going to be next to the depraved, and then eventually the depraved are going to go down. Guilty by association is not really guilty, in my opinion. Megan Fox, on the other hand, a little different than Pink. She used Twitter for about a week in 2013 and then completely stopped for good. And numerous news outlets reported on this. And in an interview, she stated that she couldn't handle it and just got off. So there's lists tying Megan Fox and Diddy together, but it's just purely coincidental that these accounts had no tweets. It's the witch hunt, though, continued, and no stone is ever left unturned by the freaks on the internet. I get it, man. I get the crusade against the evil people. I get it. It's like a thing you can feel meaningful in, but man, just all the lying and misinformation, it's pretty insane. It's sad that even articles, headlines, articles, all this stuff, like you're saying, just a bunch of shit that you think is immediately true that implicate people, but it's just not. So yeah, actors, artists, politicians, y'all are all next if you hang out with Diddy, okay? It's no secret that Hollywood elites have bizarre parties. Comedian Cat Williams went extremely viral earlier this year for talking about these parties, and he was talking about them for years and years.
They be having these big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited in a motherfucker to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room and shit.
And earlier this year, he hinted that their world would be revealed soon, meaning that he was aware of the odd things that would occur at elite parties.
All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
I don't really know. I feel like he is elite. I don't really know if Cat Williams is not elite. He reminds me of Terrence Howard, just like ultra paranoid, like talks in a way to appear to be hyper intelligent. It's just, he's right. I mean, he's totally correct. It's coming out, but like, doesn't really take a rocket scientist to guess that these people are evil, I don't think. Anyways, back to the parties. Who are the elites that are at these parties? The list is quite long. It begins with Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio, whom Diddy specifically mentioned as his favorite guest at the Diddy parties in a video titled 73 Questions with Sean Diddy Combs.
And I'm sure that's probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's #1 on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I can get on that list,
yes,
right?
Without a doubt, you are invited.
That is so generous of you. Cheers to that.
See you at the White Party.
That's a Vogue thing. There's no defending that. That's pretty bad. If P. Diddy is your favorite, that's not good. Plus, also, the guy loves, like, completely legal women, obviously, who are like the younger women. He likes women who are substantially younger than him. So yeah, I don't really know. That's not like a crime or anything like that, but it's like definitely a couple red flags. They start to combine, and then it's just like, okay, maybe this should be taken somewhat seriously. I don't know. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. People have been questioning Leonardo DiCaprio's authenticity since the beginning of his career. Some strange images have surfaced. People are calling this his welcome to Hollywood moment. Very odd. Next, a leaked video from 2009 at a Diddy party shows Diddy pointing a camera at a passed out person who he later revealed to be DJ James Ford of Simeon Mobile Disco, whatever the that is.
And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is an actual DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
And in the same video, he claims that if you come to a Diddy party, you will pass out, and encourages people to mess with him while he is out.
I put him to sleep. Next day, right? You put the drink on his head. There you go. There it is.
Which I mean, I don't know if that's normal. I've never really been to parties. I'm a absolute loser. There are other musical artists associated with Diddy as well, such as Ice Cube, who claimed at one of his concerts that he had never been to a Diddy party.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, me and Dub C ain't never been to a Diddy party, motherfucker.
You know, keeping his name clear. Ice Cube, strangely based and red-pilled with some things. Maybe not. Maybe I should look that up. I don't know. I've heard him say some interesting things about firearms, and that's about it. Another prominent artist who is associated with Diddy is Justin Bieber. And since all this has gone down, people have been pointing out strange videos showing Diddy and Justin Bieber's relationship. In one bizarre video, the diddler makes Justin Bieber uncomfortable by stating that they haven't been hanging out like they used to since Bieber has been selling out more shows. And Justin responded by stuttering and trying to formulate a clear response under some kind of bizarre stress.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Because he knows this is a date now. He knows that he's expected to run it. And the minute the dude realizes that this is not what he thought it was and that this dude is here to try to run it.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's 555.
It's odd. It reminds me of the Help Me music video made by Trevor Moore of a little kid who's like in the music industry. It's about Justin Bieber. It's pretty crazy. I really want to hear from Justin Bieber in regard to all this stuff, because like that is a weird relationship that he had with a lot of very popular people and powerful people, and his parents basically sold him into some kind of strange indentured servitude. And I mean, he's like turned to God and all this just wild steps you wouldn't really expect. Anyways, I want to hear from him about all this stuff. In a later video, Diddy is seen patting down Justin's body as if he's checking him for a wire, which is really odd. One would imagine that Justin Bieber has probably seen some heinous things since they had such close ties for such a long time, and maybe not. I really don't know. But Diddy has a lot of strange connections to child stars in Hollywood, and there is also a conspiracy theory surrounding his relationship with Aaron Carter and his sudden death. This is a conspiracy theory. There is zero evidence whatsoever to back any of this up. It's pure internet diarrhea speculation. But on November 5th, 2022, Aaron Carter was found dead in his bathtub in Lancaster, California. His official cause of death was drowning, and that was due to a combination of different psychiatric medicines and inhaling a lethal dose of difluoroethane, which is a common component of chemical manufacturing and refrigerant. And when you inhale it, it can cause asphyxiation, which would maybe explain why he drowned in the bathtub. But the story goes much deeper than that. You see, shortly before his death, it was reported that an unnamed group of people or a person was claiming that he wanted to hang himself, and he wanted to set the record straight to say that was not true.
He didn't name names, but he said people are trying to say that he wanted to hang himself, and Sony Records owed him $3 million. His family was after the money. He called his brother Nick a rapist, which he is.
He also complained about how his record label, Sony Music Group Entertainment, owed him money.
And he ends up dead, because he spoke out. I mean, this kid was not trying to kill himself, and then he ends up dead. But yet, did they investigate it, or just, swipe it under the rug like they do because they act like he was not important?
And Aaron was also about to go online and expose Diddy for the things that he had done. So, I don't really know about all this. This is all supposed stuff, but at the same time, sort of makes sense. Seems like it's kind of right in front of us. Now Diddy's in jail. Anyone who said it gives a whole new light, right? It gives a whole new light. This is definitely a conspiracy theory. I've got to mention that 110%. But at the same time, it's like, you don't really have to jump that far. All right, what is he saying? That Diddy's a freak sex trafficker? Well, he was right. So a lot of people use this to believe that Diddy had him killed or had something to do with the death of Aaron Carter. And there's more on that too, more on murders and other things outside that. I'm sure all this will come to surface at some point. I'm not saying it's true, and I'm not saying I believe it. But the theory states that Diddy killed Aaron Carter before he could meet up with Kanye West, which, if you look at his official Twitter, was his last post before he died. And the theory is that basically Diddy broke into his house and made him inhale refrigerant, and then he asphyxiated and died in the tub, and they put him in the bath. It's just a theory, right? It's a theory. And the psychiatric medicine was like a scapegoat because people OD all the time. I don't know what's more believable, that the man just had demons and was dealing with him, and I don't know, or he was murdered with refrigerant. I have no idea. The other connection is that Sony Music Group Entertainment is a parent company of Diddy's Bad Boy Records or whatever, which people tie into say that Diddy owed Aaron money in some capacity. Maybe he didn't want to. I don't know. I have no idea. With everything surrounding Diddy, genuinely wouldn't be surprised if this was true, but once again, this is a very outlandish thing that there is not a lot of evidence of, and I don't want to contribute to the massive misinformation scheme for as much as I possibly can. All this is wild, though, and so crazy. If you dig deeper, you'll find a long list of celebrities and artists and people who are just associated with Diddy and his insane Diddy parties. Snoop Dogg, Kanye West, Drake, Beyonce, Jay-Z, literally everybody has been to a Diddy party, which guilt by association is definitely one thing, but like it's another level to think that that's an actual real true. Like if you get invited and you don't know, I mean, of course, I wouldn't go, but I just wouldn't go to parties in general. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some pious guy who can see out evil. I don't know. I don't have any idea, dude. I certainly know now. Also, prominent politicians who you may recognize have hung out with Mr. Diddler. Former President Barack Obama has been seen with P. Diddler in numerous instances.
And I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing, because he doesn't have to do this. But this is part of what is important about giving back.
And the way he talks about him in an old MTV video makes it clear that Obama was good friends with Diddy and that this was not their first time meeting. Bad look for Obama. Obama!
I just want y'all to see everybody I'm interviewing is sweating. I'm not even touching my brow. I'm so cool. And I want to apologize. I ain't trying to make you look bad or nothing like that, but I'm just so cool. We
T-shirt. I tell you, if he was wearing one of those fancy designer clothes he's designing, he'd be sweating just like me.
Another former president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, also great friends with Diddy for quite some time, and had even said that he...
How can he be who he is and talk like that, bro? That's wild to say that to people at a party.
He loves Diddy and is a good friend of his.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy.
If you look up Diddy and Donald Trump, you'll see loads of images of the two smiling and chilling, booling, as people say. Even Ivanka Trump can be seen in photos with Diddley and Donald, meaning that they continue to hang out and see each other on a regular basis. Donald Trump was a celebrity before he was a politician, so it's no surprise that he was invited to the Diddy parties. Bro has been in the zeitgeist for quite a while. And since all this stuff came out, people have been conducting various smear campaigns against both former presidents, claiming that they are closely associated with sex trafficking racketeer P. Diddler. The point is, everybody from both sides is guilty by association in some sense with the Diddler. What did they know? I have no idea. But this shit runs quite deep, though. It runs quite deep. And if you think Epstein had some powerful friends that got him killed, bruh, I mean, come on, dude. What about Diddy? Okay, what about Diddy? Diddy, I feel like he's not going to last long in prison. I don't know, though. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but it seems like it's not. Even Prince Harry, right, is on the official list of people who have attended Diddley parties, drawing international acclaim. Other celebrities seen with Diddley include Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck, Dame Dash, Steve Harvey, LeBron James. There's infamous photos of Jay-Z and Jennifer Lopez at a Diddy white party. That's like the ultimate Diddy party, is the white party where you wear white. There's also a now famous video of LeBron James quoted saying, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party," demonstrating his clear knowledge of what goes on at a Diddy party.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
LeBron James knows about Diddy parties. Let's be real. LeBron James. LeBron has been in LA for quite some time and is probably the most popular basketball player of this current generation, so it would not be shocking at all to find out that he attended one or many of Diddy's parties. Seems like everybody's doing it. Even streamer Aiden Ross has been pictured at a Diddy recent white party. So yeah, you got everybody. Politicians, presidents, rulers of the free world. Aiden Ross. With the changing landscape of fame and influence, one thing stays the exact same through all of it. That is the Diddy parties, baby. What the is wrong with these people? It does tie into the business world, though. It's not just celebrities and athletes. There are tons of people who are seen in the Diddy household. There are CEOs, record label owners. In a broadcast from Fox News, it was revealed that every room in Diddy's LA and Miami homes had a camera. So if you were in the home, you were on a tape.
Lil Rod says hidden cameras were in every room of Diddy's homes.
Never name yourself Lil Rod, no matter how true of a statement that is. Always lie when it comes to that.
Lil Rod believes that Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Salacious tapes of Hollywood's biggest names, including record CEOs and politicians, doing drugs and cavorting with prostitutes and minors.
This fact is important as one of Diddy's former bodyguards claimed to have audio of Diddy having S with rapper Meek Mill after roofing his drink. We can't show that. Holy Meek Mill, what the?
Yeah, you'd have to go on to the video I did in order to hear it. But yeah, I still don't understand any of this.
That's a claim from a bodyguard. This whole thing is getting crazy, guys. I hope everything comes out and we know, my God, like, just stop. Why can't people just be nice to each other? Sure, say weird shit to people, make bad jokes, upset people, offend people. Don't sex traffic, okay? Don't sex traffic. Don't live an insanely hedonistic lifestyle that victimizes thousands of people. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. What's so difficult? You're not God. It's kind of surprising looking back now, with perfect.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, and don't subscribe. It's your boy Blasphemous HD. Twisms.